7 o'clock in St. Louis. You are listening to The Morning After, presented to you by Brown and Crouppen, Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, Martin Kilcoyne, Jackson Burkett with you on the program. A program that solicits you to be involved, Doug, by calling in. The Collier and Thompson phone lines, 314-974-0101, or texting into the Air Comfort Service text inbox, 314-399-9646. And little Jackie Papers across the way is on a high. He has been doing key bumps throughout the course of the morning, carrying over the momentum from last night as the Fighting Tigers defeat number 4, Roll Damn Tide. How do you do, little Jackie Papers?
You like that?
Oh, wow.
You came in loaded for bear. Huh?
You're all Mizzou'd out. Look at you, went full Mizzou, top to bottom.
That's what you got to support the team.
Black and gold. Well, Doug is wearing a USA sweater, thanks.
Yeah.
We moved forward.
I'm a rights holder.
A USA rights holder?
Yes.
He holds rights for the United States of America.
Someone has to.
What's bigger, Jackson, last night's game or tonight's game as an American, as a Mizzou alum?
The answer is probably tonight's game.
Oh,
but for me, the Missouri game, but like times 100.
Times 100.
Yeah, you like that, Martin?
Wow. Gosh, he's bullying us around.
Yeah, what's the deal with this guy?
He literally mean mugged me like he was Brad Underwood after a bad foul call. Jesus, calm down.
Were you screaming last night?
Not really. Not really.
It was too easy, wasn't it? Did you get nervous? Did you get a little nervous?
6-point lead, less than a minute left, man.
It was late, and so I didn't go out and scream at the top of my lungs, but kind of felt like I wanted to a little.
It might have been the best first half a Mizzou team has played in a long, long time.
59 points at halftime.
That's a full game at times.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that was about as good as Mizzou. That first half was probably the best half Mizzou played all year, maybe the first half on the road against Florida. But it's not like Alabama played poorly.
No,
Alabama played great.
They shot the lights out.
I was texting with you boys, and I really am curious about this. I know that this is something that I can't imagine anybody would have the answer to, but I truly wonder if a team has ever been down 13 points at the half when they are shooting 60+% from the field, 61% from the field, and they're shooting 50% from three, and they're down 13 points.
Martin, you ever have a grade school team?
Yeah, what about that?
We've been
your
down
squad?
13 before, but we weren't
That's
shooting.
kind of your sweet spot.
Yeah, we weren't shooting like that, though. Holy smokes.
Yeah, that Mark Sears is a player.
Oh, my God.
Holy smokes.
He gets right to the rack. He's the littlest guy at times on the floor, but he nails the three. I just kept thinking in the first half, all right, they'll make a run. Sundvold even said it at some point. All right, when's the comeback? Like everybody knows in college basketball. But it felt like for the most part in that game, they just kind of kept maintaining, always around that 12-point lead. They just kind of maintained until that final three got it to 6. That's when you were probably a little tight.
Oh, God, that was beyond tight.
You were beyond tight throughout?
After Tamar Bates got the steal and then turned it over,
Gave it right back.
about 45 seconds left, and then Mark Sears, of course, just like all game, nothing but net. I was like, oh my God, here we go! And they had missed so many free throws up to that point. I was getting
I thought the free flows would come back to haunt them.
16 missed free throws, Doug. And you still scored 110 points. How do you do?
Well, I'm fine.
In fairness,
Doug's doing fine.
Of the 47 free throws, 10 were an intentional late, and then 6 were from technicals and flagrants. However, they were getting to the rack like they always do.
Alabama will say, wait a minute, Missouri shot 47 free throws, we shot 21?
Play some defense.
Sounds
Quit
like
hacking.
home cooking.
Quit hacking.
You think it's home cooking, Jackson?
No, get out of here.
They don't play D, do they?
No, they try, but they don't play a lot of defense. However, in that last 4 minutes, they would get the inbound in and score in about 6 seconds flat. That's the reason they score so many points.
They scored 98 and lost by 12.
Yeah.
That's hard to do in college basketball.
Yeah, that's NBA.
And that was the run at the beginning of the game where Mizzou takes a
set the
12-point
tone.
lead, and that was the difference.
Set the tone.
Caleb Grill hair gone be the hottest cut at 25. Caught me that, Doug. That's from Mr. Big Cream.
I'm not sure what that meant.
Jackson?
I love Caleb Grill. It looks like his haircut is just a tad incomplete.
He also looks 35 years old.
Maybe he is.
He might be.
He's a 6-year.
He can shoot, but at times he forces some bad shots,
Yeah,
too.
I
He can
think-
get a little selfish there at times.
I think he tries to draw the whistle a lot on guys chasing him really hard and then running into him as he shoots, but he's not great at drawing the foul. He got one last night and made all 3 free throws, but I think sometimes he's trying to draw a foul there.
Rick Majerus' towel is in the YouTube chat, along with 137 other friends of the Feather, youtube.com/TMASTL. You can check out Doug supporting the United States, me and Jackson supporting the Missouri Tigers. Martin, you were supporting
The MAC.
the MAC.
Well, everybody was mad my hat was crooked yesterday. I had a knit cap on. Cardinals, rights holding. Big game on Saturday, by the way.
Yeah, Marlins.
Yeah. Is it the Marlins? I didn't know.
Who else was there?
Phil's Astros and Mets.
50 times. But people were upset with the crooked hat, so I thought I'd go ball cap today.
Ball cap today. Rick Majerus' towel says in the YouTube chat, this is all just making the eventual loss to a 15 seed all the more funnier. Jackson, that's Rick Majerus' towel, who says Missouri's going to lose to a 15 seed, which means I guess they'd be a 2.
Keep that same energy. Just I'll talk to you in mid-March. And,
wow.
When you deny you said anything, we'll have the receipts.
So you know Rick Majerus' towel, and you'll be able to reach out to him directly.
I don't know Rick Majerus' towel. I don't know this Merle. I don't know what he's about.
Merle.
But he's gonna take it on the chin when the Tigers make a run.
Well, the way they played last night, you can't help but think, well, maybe this is the year it happens. They could have beaten anybody they played last night.
Yeah, you play like that, you are.
Yeah, they'd have beaten anybody.
They've proven that they can beat anybody. When you go on the road and win against Florida, when you go on the road and decimate a team like Mississippi State, who just beat A&M, who beat you at home, and then you go beat Alabama and the way they did it, the sky is the absolute limit. They don't play scared. They're well-rounded. Let's go do it. Why not the Tigers?
Why not?
Three wins over a top 5, which has to be a Mizzou first. And then I see a quote.
It has happened the last
For
time.
Mizzou?
1988-1989 season.
89. That was a pretty good team.
And they said on the broadcast last night they have the most home wins in the nation this year.
17-1.
Yeah.
Sounds right, yeah.
But they quote tweeted that stat that Mizzou has 3 wins against the top 5. Hard to believe Kansas falls into that category at this point. But then they said the first team to do that after going winless in their conference the year before. Okay, well, probably anything you do successfully the year after going winless in your conference will be a first.
Yeah.
What is the deal with the shush sign at the end when they pull their fingers to their mouth? Is that to tell everybody to be quiet?
Doubters.
They started it a while back, right at the beginning of conference play when nobody was talking about them. They weren't getting, they still get placed on SEC Network every single game pretty much. And it was kind of a message like, keep doubting. And I love the post game where they run over and crowd the guy who's talking on the mic.
Dennis Gates was talking, and then all of a sudden the team appeared.
Took the headset right off him.
The 1988-89 Missouri team defeated 3 top 5 teams. They beat Oklahoma. Who was the head coach of Oklahoma in 1989? Go.
Tubbs?
Yes. Twice. They beat Oklahoma when they were number 1 on February 25th, and they beat them on February 9th when they were number 5 in the country. And they beat Illinois when Illinois was number 6. They lost Illinois. I'm sorry. Boy, Illinois and Missouri just sick that year. And that was the year Illinois went to the Final Four. But they beat 3 top 5 teams in 1989 because they beat Oklahoma 3 different times. They were all Oklahoma. Oklahoma's number 2, and they beat them to win the Big 8 tournament. And Missouri went to the Sweet 16, and they lost to Derek Coleman, Billy Owens, Jimmy Beheib, his zone defense in the Sweet 16 in a tournament, 83-80.
The old 1-3-1 defense.
Martin uses that in his.
We've tried.
Missouri played a little 1-3-1 late in the game last night. Trent Pierce up top.
What do you think the key to Mizzou's deep run is? Is it Mitchell or is it Grill?
See, that's the great thing about it.
There may not be an answer to that.
It's anybody on any given day.
Right.
I've been watching this team. When I see the roster on the 1988-89 team, a lot of those names resonate from my childhood. I think the one that stands out the most would be Doug Smith. But you also had Anthony Peeler. When you have Peeler and Doug Smith, Lee Coward, Byron Irvin, Greg Church, and Anthony Peeler and Smith, that you sit there and you go, man, that's a hell of a team. This team, though, it's like last night, Bates didn't really do much.
No, yeah.
But it was
13.
Mitchell and Grill.
Yeah. And then some nights they're doubling Mitchell on the drive and not letting him do it, then, guys like Tony Perkins can get hot. Guys come off the bench like Warwick, and obviously Grill comes off the bench and can get red hot. Bates, Anthony Robinson had a really underrated game last night, forcing steals, making a ton of shots. He's got
The late block.
great block at the end. He's a great defensive player. So when you don't have like a stud like Missouri, like they don't have a first-team All-SEC guy. They don't have a first-team All-American. However, they got a bunch of guys who can do just about everything. And so if a guy's shot's not falling tonight, pass the ball, someone else will.
Here is what Jackson was talking about, which is Dennis Gates and the team running over mid-interview right after the game on the SEC Network. And those boys on the SEC Network were like, what in the hell? This is something else. What did we just watch? Here is Dennis Gates.
Our crowd was unbelievable. Our guys prepared for the moment, and they seized it. I'm proud of the way we started and ended the game.
Coach, obviously the job's not done yet, but can we see a smile? Like, goodness gracious, Coach, you guys look fantastic this year, and we're just so impressed by Mark Mitchell and Caleb Grill, how those guys have really been instrumental in your success.
Those guys were wonderful, man, but I credit our entire team in the preparation. I think when you look at our performance, you have to look at the preparation of what took place.
Doug, at this moment, the team is swarmed their head coach.
Yes, I saw that.
Coach, what are you thinking about your team surrounding you right now?
It's all love, man. I love these dudes. They love each other. They do a wonderful job, man. I just credit them, man. You can look at the performance. We left it all on the court.
Well, it was great to see that building packed and have so much energy. You don't have to go back very far when it was just mostly empty, really depressing at Mizzou basketball games.
Yeah.
It was rough there for a while.
Yeah, because they've had some decent teams, some pretty decent teams in the last 5-10 years that just weren't as fun to watch as this team. Like when you score 110 points in a game, especially with that 12-0 run to start, the place was going to erupt. I thought if Caleb Grill would have hit that damn near half-court shot, which would have been an absolute dagger, I think the roof might have came off the joint.
And for the record, Missouri's schedule the rest of the way, whereas Alabama has just nothing, almost nothing, but top teams the rest of the way. Missouri's going to be put to the test on Saturday night in Fayetteville. Arkansas was right there with War Eagle last night at Auburn, the number one team in the country, who is plus 240 to win the entire thing this year. That is incredible for an NCAA tournament. Long odds. Then it's South Carolina. That's in Columbia. Missouri. Vanderbilt is in Nashville. Oklahoma's in Norman. And then they're at home to wrap up the regular season against Kentucky. I bring that up because there is a chance that Missouri could finish in second place in the SEC, which would be an incredible accomplishment.
Yeah, and you get the double bye in the SEC tournament. Big benefit there. Yeah, a couple, like Vandy's a sneaky, really good home team, so like you can't overlook that game. Tim mentioned Arkansas. Arkansas's played night and day better than they did at the beginning of the season. And then the big test against Kentucky, last game of the season, Martin. That's going to be a showdown in Columbia.
How about the minutes too? We used to talk about how too many guys were playing too many minutes. Great to have depth. Last night, Josh Gray, your big guy, only 10 minutes. Aiden Shaw, 1 minute. Marquez, Warwick, 2 minutes. Cruz, 14.
Yeah,
so other than Cruz, or other than Grill off the bench, they've really whittled it down.
Yeah,
which I think is part of their success.
Why did Gates tell the crowd not to storm the court when versus Kansas he wanted it to happen? That's from Beer Cats in the Air Comfort Service.
That was kind of an odd twist. Remember,
he grabbed the microphone with 1.5 seconds left
and said not to rush the court. The Kansas game, the mole man, the PA announcer, said don't rush the court, and he said later that he was told by Laird Veach to make the announcement, which may be just window dressing, saying it so that he said, we tried, knowing full well they're going to storm the court. But supposedly the last time Gates was mad that they made that announcement. And here, now maybe because now he knows his team. Back then it was like, woo, we're not. I think now he's like, we're good.
I think the answer to Beer Cat's question is, yeah, we kind of expect this at this point.
Yep.
And we're not going to rush the court because we think we're as good as this team is. And so there's no need to be rushing the court like we just pulled off an upset. We were the favorites, and they were. They were -1 last night. The over, I was texting you boys about this, started at 171.5 last night. The final total on points is 208.
Yeah.
171 when I texted you guys, and it wasn't even halfway through the first half. It was at 187. The Tam Avenue Capital Partners immediately deployed some capital, Doug, because I'm like, I don't think the books can keep up with the way these teams are scoring, and the odds were Alabama was going to stay in the game, and Alabama doesn't necessarily work the ball around to get shots, which means Missouri would then get the ball back too, and they're both high-powered offenses. And so if people did bet the over, and Jackson, I think you released a play on that, did you not?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Jackson released a play, Doug.
What play did you release?
Over.
Yeah.
Over.
You got a sweat-free. This Jackson Burkett, he makes picks, you make money. He makes picks,
What
you
happens?
make money.
I got you.
Yeah.
Did you follow that, Doug?
Yeah.
There was times in the second half, especially, and even in parts of the first half, where when Alabama would make a shot really late in the shot clock, I counted it as a victory because at least they weren't scoring with it because they're trying to score with it.
Now
in the
that's
first.
a rights holder.
He's holding the rights over there?
Well, but when you have like a 13, 15-point lead, like you can give up twos. It's okay. And when they score with a 2 or a 3 within the first 5 seconds of the shot clock, it's like, oh my God, like they're going to eviscerate this lead real quick. But that's credit to Alabama. I mean, they're obviously super, super stacked.
Manipul Eligible sent in a screenshot from the Post-Dispatch saying, in the closing moments of Wednesday's upset, Missouri coach Dennis Gates commandeered the in-arena public address system to ask fans to keep off the court. They complied, saving the athletics department the $500,000 fine that would have been levied by the SEC for doing so. Quote, we need that money to go to NIL. We don't need to be getting fines out there. Gates also mentioned concerns about player safety amid a court storming and his hope that more coaches try to deter the practice. But at some point, his request was a business decision made by a team that is making big wins into a business model.
Yep. I would have been embarrassed if they rushed the court last night.
We were sitting at work, and I said to producer Dave, if you're a student, you just do it because you're a student. You don't give a damn, right? You're probably drunk, and you're like, hey, let's just go out there. But as a program, you should say, what? We beat Alabama. Good. We should.
Absolutely.
I think that Kansas win, there's just euphoria. It's early in the year. You don't know if you're any good. It's Kansas.
It's a whole different, and they have a
Number
number
one
one.
team.
They have a
Right.
number one in front of their name. It's a completely different thing. Now you're favored in this game.
A $500,000 fine seems a little punitive. That seems like a little much.
Well, I think it's because it's the however many times they would
Yeah.
have stormed the court, and I don't know if that incorporates the football season.
Yes,
was there any?
does. I don't think
There wasn't any field storming. There wouldn't have been a win. Who's the bigger whiny baby, Nate Oates or Bruce Pearl? That comes from Little Judy Suckins. You know
Pearl.
Little Judy Suckins?
Sure I do.
It's close. Pearl's worse.
Nate Oates did talk following the game. Jackson, we've got a couple of clips. The Alabama head coach, he got sideways with Aiden Shaw last year. Last night he got sideways with his clipboard and slammed that onto the court and got a technical. Here is Roll Damn Tide's head coach.
Obviously not one of our better defensive games. You got to give them a bunch of credit. They came out ready to go. You know, they started out 12-zip, scored 18 before the first media. Getting our guys ready to go is part of my job as head coach, and I didn't do a very good job of it tonight. So we didn't start the game out well, and then we didn't guard. I mean, give up 110 points, or I think we gave them a 1.39 today on our defensive end. That's pretty elite offense. You know, we gave them 21 points off turnovers. They're top 5 in the country in steal percentage, and they had a good team. I mean, they've been winning a lot of big games. They're shoot 17-1, I believe, at home now. You know, crowd was into it. Obviously, we helped with that, giving up the 12-0 run, but they got the crowd into it.
His voice doesn't match his look.
I agree with you.
He kind of, that sounds like
Bruce Weber?
He made it hoarse from yelling.
Probably, but that voice to me sounds like kind of like a fat guy, like an old guy. And he's not an old fat guy.
You sense there was cellulite involved?
It's just that voice doesn't fit the way he looks.
Now, also, mid-post-game, a fire broke out. And I think the Colonel was navigating it on his post-game show as well. What do we have here,
Where was
Jason?
the fire?
This is unbelievable.
Yeah,
People are tweeting at me and you guys, not about Mizzou's win. All of a sudden, they started tweeting all of us saying, Gabe's got a problem.
Before everything was fine, the fire got put out. So here's Gabe as it's happening.
Okay.
4 contenders. You got Alabama, Auburn, Florida, A&M, and Missouri.
Guys, I got no idea what's going on here. There are flashing lights and sirens. There is a fire in Mizzou Arena. They are asking people to leave This is no joke, guys. They are like evacuating the building. All right, guys, no joke. There is a fire in a suite about 3 suites over. Like, I've got to move. If we can come back, we will. I might have to leave the building. You can't make this shit up, but apologize. Wow. I got to cut it short.
I'm going to call up a voicemail because I need a break for a minute.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I'm going to try to keep it composed here. I'm going to note my one early and leave it there.
Will old true sons leave the building? He sounded a little panicked.
Yeah, the colonel was panicked, and understandably so. And Doug, it's a reminder that if you don't know the fire codes for your business, that can be a problem, and that's where EDF comes in.
Sick.
Yeah, no, it's exciting to be this talented. Attention business owners, did you know fire codes require your company's fire alarm system to be inspected and maintained by a certified fire alarm service provider? It's not just about compliance, it's about protecting your employees, customers, and property. And Gabe DeArmond. That's where EDF Group's Fire and Security Division comes in, proudly serving St. Louis and beyond. EDF Fire and Security specialize in keeping businesses safe and secure. From expert fire alarm inspections to advanced commercial security systems, they've got you covered, and it doesn't stop there. With 24/7 fire alarm and security monitoring, you'll have peace of mind knowing your business is protected every hour of the day. Don't wait until it's too late. Call EDF Group's Fire and Security Division today and let them help you stay compliant, secure, and safe. Visit theedfgroup.com or call 314-993-8053 to learn more. EDF Group, your partner in fire safety and security.
Coach Drink was in the building, too. He was texting one of the SEC hosts after the game. They were reading their phone.
Was it Pat Bradley?
Was it Pat Bradley?
No, not a fan.
Wow, Pat Bradley just took a hit out of nowhere. Doug, what's the problem with Pat Bradley?
What's his accent? Is it like it's like Southern Boston? It's a little Brian Kelly.
Ooh.
It's like it's the strangest accent I've ever heard.
You think he's tweaked it a little bit for the SEC crowd?
Maybe, I don't know. It's very confusing to me. A lot of mouse in the house last night with Mark Mitchell.
Mouse in the house.
A lot of mouses in the house.
Were you yelling that, Doug, at the TV?
I forgot to.
You forgot to, and they still won?
A lot of mouse in the house. I don't know why. I mean, I guess I get why you don't send a double because then you leave a possible shooter wide open. But he was killing them, just backing them down 5-10 feet. He would back guys down.
He runs the floor. He is lanky. Really lanky.
His hands almost touch the floor.
I was reading about this fire. It was in section 112. Said no injuries reported. The fire extinguished shortly after it started.
Yeah.
Larry Thornton says the 2012 team had 6 guys who could beat you. This team has 8 to 10 guys who can get you on any night. That's from Larry Thornton, former KSTK sports producer and a friend of the program. You can give your thoughts by texting in 314-399-9646. You can also email in for our Design Air Heating and Cooling email today, the morning after at InsideSTL.com, the morning after at InsideSTL.com. It's Design Air Heating and Cooling online at DesignAirService.com. Seth Goldcamp has been the longest running sponsor on TMA going back a decade, and if you are dealing with a heating system that is not functioning properly with these temperatures, then you've got a problem. But Seth and his team can fix it quick, fast, and in a hurry. All you have to do is go to DesignAirService.com, and they will be out there immediately to help you out. No upselling. That's the pride of the business model. We're going to earn your trust by making sure we fix it, and no BS. It's Design Air Heating and Cooling online at DesignAirService.com, sponsor of our Design Air Heating and Cooling email today, coming your way at 10:50 on the Stiefel dossier. JV golf coach and Buck Swope tied with 3 wins so far this month.
I'm sorry, Buck has 4. My apologies.
Oh,
here we go. Here we go.
Oh,
We're just so consumed with this Mizzou win, we can't count anymore.
Doug. Buck Swope is in the lead with 4 wins. JV golf coach with 3 wins. The YouTube chat has 2 wins. Misty Plops with a win. Walter Grundlehort with a win. And the calcified ear with a win. Find out who wins. There are 7 more shows in the month of February. Buck Swope is staring down a big bounce-back win after the self-made stay-at-home Ledoux mom made history in the month of January as our first ever female listener to win the Design Air Heating and Cooling email of the month.
You said female. Did you imply a question mark?
No.
Okay.
I mean, she has a great monogramming business.
Not a female.
Well, she texted the other day something about all the crank she was getting, and it didn't sound like it just didn't sound like something a female would say.
No, probably not.
By the way, Pat Bradley, Jackson nailed this one. Did you know this? He's from Massachusetts.
Okay.
But he talks like a Southerner?
Played at Arkansas.
I'm telling you, it's like
you said Boston. Did you know he's a Massachusetts
It's
kid?
pretty tough it's pretty easy to pick up on it because it clearly has like a kind of a Southy thing going on, but then it also has like a drawl on it. Like it's very
So
confusing.
you dislike him solely because of his dialect?
That, and they were, he was on the call of the Florida game, and time again, they'd be like, oh, it's a jump ball when there was a foul on Missouri. And they did it like 3 times. They were bootlicking the refs who were just awful that game.
Bootlicking.
It was very frustrating. I'm not a Pat Bradley guy. I'm sure he's a nice guy.
Oh, I'm sure. Always give the disclaimer at the end.
Yeah, you got to do.
Well, he'd probably be a friend of the show.
Have you been up to a Mizzou game this year yet?
Hi, Tigers.
Have I been up to a Mizzou game
trick
yet?
question.
this
You're going to
year?
have to get there? You got to go to
It's
one.
kind of a
right?
yes or no, really. Shouldn't take that much time here in the deposition.
No, I don't.
Did you go to the bragging rights?
No, I didn't. No, I haven't.
We only got 2 home games left.
I will be at the Kentucky game.
Tim, have you been to a game? Would it take that long? I have not been to a game.
I have not.
It took me a half a second.
No, I don't know.
Doug, have
Jackson?
you been to a game this year?
This year, no, I have not.
Thinking about going to the SEC tournament in Nashville for my son's spring break. Thinking about that. Be some great basketball.
Yeah.
Leave him in the hotel room, go out and shoot it.
You better believe it. You better believe it. Hey, here's your Stiefel dossier. Robert Thomas can't wait to talk about his perspective on the festivities tonight. I mean, you get Missouri, Alabama last night. Now you got the United States and Canada, one of the most highly anticipated hockey games of our lifetimes. That is coming your way at 8:15. Robert Thomas, the game, of course, right here on 101 ESPN. Pregame 6 p.m., puck drop 7 p.m. Doug, if you want to bet it, minus 110 either way.
Really?
There's no edge. The total goals scored, 5.5, and each team is minus 110. So it is straight up a coin flip. Robert Thomas will be with us at 8:15. And then Dave Spence will be with us at 9 o'clock. Yesterday we got going on Cordish getting the deal to take over the Millennium Hotel project. And some of the renderings are out as to what they plan to do with that spot just to the east of Busch Stadium. They were responsible for Ballpark Village. Dave Spence, what is the background for our audience who might not know his name right off the top of their heads?
Dave, successful businessman, ran for governor, had a giant bus, was traveling the state, wanted to be the governor because he'd had a successful business career. Had him on the radio a couple of times in the past. He sits on the RSA, which runs the Dome. That was the group, I believe, that initially told the city, hey, this NFL money that's just sitting there, might want to put it in the bank. Might want to, that just a thought.
Gosh, you'd
I
have
think
to be a brilliant businessman to figure that out.
I agree with you.
But because of Dave's interest in politics, his passion for the city, grew up in the Rittner School District, which I believe, is that where the chairman was teaching?
Yes.
Yes.
But Dave is great when we talk about city, county, leadership, topics that we get into. How do you save? Do you need to save downtown? This is a business owner who has interest in politics, but also just a reasonable, logical voice on all these topics that we sort of get into.
I'm really looking forward to this conversation. He's in studio at 9 o'clock?
He'll be here in
God
studio. And I'll tell you this, in the past, people are, oh, great, we need some rich businessman. He grew up hard scrabble and worked his rear off and made it, and now is in a position to care about the city. Kind of like Dave Peacock. Like, these guys don't need to do this, but they have a passion for the region, and they would like to see us do better.
Dave used to be my neighbor. He's a great guy, and that comes from the self-made stay-at-home Ledoux mom. So maybe she can call in and talk it over when he joins us at 9 o'clock. Doug.
But
Just don't say crank.
It's almost always rich business people who get things done, right?
Flip that off. It's going to play well.
I mean, who else is doing
Doug's
it?
in an alliance with Mr. Licks.
Who else is doing it? Who else has the resources to put huge projects like this together? You have to be successful. You got to be smart, a lot of energy, drive. That's how you get rich.
Energy, drive. Some people inherit
Smarts.
it, but I like a good story like that. Hard scrabble. I think
I like a good successful business.
I think he moved to the Kirkwood district too, Doug.
he may have.
You might
Fine
have
and
crossed
proud.
paths.
So he's in studio at 9 o'clock. Then we have the Design Air Heating and Cooling email the day, the morning after, at InsideSTL.com. So you can compete that way. You can just text in 314-399-9646. You're welcome to call in. Chairman Curt not here today. Doug, I have told you boys, Doug and I, and it's not, I think people would like assume that there's something more to it. We just historically started this in around 2009, Martin, after the show we would kiss.
Wait, what?
And I said, today I am ill. I'm going to stay in what is called the cute corner. And so the cute corner is where I will reside throughout the course of the program because I have contracted what the chairman has. And so back-to-back weeks I'm sick, but just with a different illness. The chairman and I were together for a Sound Story function 2 days ago. Didn't shake his hand. But just by sitting next to him, I believe I've contracted whatever the chairman has. And Doug, this cough, sweet mother mercy, it comes from deep, deep, deep inside of me.
So you sat right next to him, so there was some intimacy involved.
You know, you just soiled the sanctity of my marriage vows, which of
Ruined
course,
me.
Which is Joey's job.
aggressive. That's exactly right, Martin.
Is the Cute Corner not sponsored?
The Cute Corner is currently not sponsored. The dossier is sponsored by Stiefel. I kind of would think that Stiefel would like to sponsor the Cute Corner, but I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
we'll run that by him next time we're down there.
But the chairman's not here. When we were texting, I was asking him what his symptoms were yesterday, and he's like, I still have 101-degree fever. I go, my goodness. Sweet mother of mercy. So the chairman is hoping to be back tomorrow, but that means Jackson will field your phone calls at 314-974-0101. Collier and Thompson, sponsor of the phone lines. Robert Thomas talking U.S.-Canada coming your way at 8:15. Former gubernatorial candidate Dave Spence in studio with us at 9 o'clock talking about state of the region and his involvement, what he thinks can be done to improve things. He's in studio at 9 o'clock. Design Air Heating and Cooling email the day at 10:50. You can email in the morning after at InsideSTL.com and compete. There's your Stiefel dossier. And as I see something here on the whiteboard, it looks like another show is leaving a message for us, and I will share what that message is because this is alarming, and I would imagine management is going to want to be made aware of this. So we will share that with the audience and try to stir the pot to be real transparent with you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is TMA. It's presented by Brown and Crouppen, 101 ESPN, and the TMA STL YouTube channel. Doug, what do you think about the Killers opening up shows now with Mr. Brightside?
I'm personally fine with it. I wasn't sure I would be, but after some reflection, I think now I'm going to go ahead and give it the okay.
I think it's Brandon Flowers who is scheduled to join us sometime next week in studio. His way to, because he can be a little bandy rooster, to say, okay, if you're here for this, here you go. But we're not going to build the whole show around Mr. Brightside. Sometimes artists get angry with the crowds who love their songs and they want to play other songs.
Yeah. Well, when I go to a concert, I want to hear the guy's hits.
Like Return of the Mac when you went to the Mark Morrison show.
I wasn't there, but I mean, if you go see a well-known artist, don't you want to hear him play the songs that made him famous? I do.
100%, but then you got to look at it from their perspective. This is show 1,500 for them in the last 10 years.
Not my problem.
And I know, I get it. I'm saying there's an argument on both sides. I agree, though. If you're going to go to a concert, you want to hear them play at least one or two of their major hits.
All the major hits.
Well, it depends on
Sprinkle in the new ones if you want, but I want to hear all the major hits.
Sprinkle me, man. E40. Think about that.
Right. Like if you
that's why you pay the big bucks, is to hear the guys sing their classics.
And like Rolling Stones, like where you have so many hits, like generations of hits, it's one thing. If it's like if you go see Afro Man, he doesn't play Colt 45, you're gonna march the stage.
Think about that,
wasn't the example I was thinking about.
Exactly what I was thinking.
If it's like a one-hit wonder and they don't play, like you would go see Shabuzi and he's like, I'm not doing bar song tonight.
You'd be really disappointed.
Like, what are you gonna play?
The Stones are a great example of they play the hits, and granted, they have thousands to pick from. I would argue with them every once in a while, maybe just skip Brown Sugar and play Monkey Man or mix it up a little bit, but they play the hits. If you go see the Killers, it's not your fault if the night before they were in Tulsa and had to play that song. That's how they're making money.
Right.
I hate how the bands resent the audience at times. But when they say, Doug, okay, thanks for being here. Going to get into some of our new stuff. That's when you go to the bathroom. That's when you get a beer. Yeah. They've warned you. Play the hits, buddy. Play the hits.
Oh, yeah. I think you absolutely deserve to hear the hits. That's why you shelled out the big bucks to go.
Compadre of mine, I think it was about 12 years ago, might be more, was at a Kings of Leon show at Enterprise Center and got up to use the restroom right after they played either Sex on Fire or Use Somebody, which were their two mainstream hits in that era. And the lead singer yelled at him and said, oh, now that you've heard your favorite song, you leaving?
Oh, wow. Got called out? Must not have been too big a crowd.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that played the Hollywood Amphitheater, and the show stopped because they were getting pooped on by the birds. Remember this?
Yeah, that's hot scat play.
They had to stop the show because there were so many pigeons crapping on them. And people were mad that they left the stage, like didn't fight through it. And maybe a month or two later, the Rams, because they were always good at knowing the market, had them in a suite and introduced them like during the game. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us today, Kings of Leon. And everybody booed because they were still mad about the show.
Remember, I think it was a couple years ago when Miranda Lambert stopped her show to not really yell, but chastise people who were taking selfies with her in the background. You know, people would stand up and want a selfie with the band in the background.
Right.
That made her so mad she stopped the show to chastise the fans.
Were you one of the people taking selfies?
I wasn't. But
yeah, I saw it on Insta. Do it for the gram, Doug. Do it for the gram.
They spent a lot of money to go to her, excited to be there, and she's going to criticize them for taking their picture.
I don't want to turn into David Frick here and do a deep Rolling Stone dive as a music geek. But, Doug, the album The Wall by Pink Floyd, Roger Waters wrote that about the success they had, and they were touring the U.S. and they were touring Canada, and he said they were in Montreal, and somebody in the front row, like, grabbed his shoe or touched his foot, and he spit on him. And he realized he had become just a gross superstar human being that felt entitled to spit on a fan, and it kind of made him think about celebrity and all of the success and excess that they had been afforded.
Yeah. Here's another celebrity singer.
Yep, that was David Klein of Hedonism's tribute to Dolores O'Riordan and the Cranberries with Zombie. And I think that it was at the 2012 Mardi Gras celebration. And boy, that was beautiful.
Tim, the now infamous avian defecation. You like that? Avian defecation?
I think about like the AVN Awards.
Cancellation situation went down July 23rd, 2010. Kings of Leon made a stop at what was then known as the Verizon Wireless Amphitheater, now dubbed Hollywood Casino, forever etched into the hearts and minds of most St. Louisans as Riverport, of course. Early indication the pigeons spotted up in the rafters of the outdoor venue might make some trouble. Specifically, the feathered beast had already pooped all over members of both the opening bands. This is
Feathered Beast. Who wants to the text name Feathered Beast?
The reviewer for the RFT at the time dedicated one of the songs to our bassist who just got, I don't think I can say S-H-A-T or even spell it.
No.
Shadow. Dump out. All right. Anyway, we don't need to hear the whole
start.
The RFT has a full review if you'd like to go back in time.
Los Lonely Boys played Heaven's Sex. Nurse, my family and I are looking for sex. Clark W. Griswold, European Vacation. Los Lonely Boys played Heaven 6 consecutive times at the grand opening of Nobu Festus last week. Concert stage was right next to the unisex restroom. That's from Alan Dadeville.
I thought it was cold out there.
No, but they played it 6 straight times. Boy, what a treat that had.
What can play?
You can get involved by calling in. Even though the chairman's not here, Jackson is monitoring the Callier and Thompson phone lines, 314-974-0101. And, of course, text in at 314-399-9646, the YouTube chat. It's active as the day is long. 240 Friends of the Feather have gathered at youtube.com/TMASTL. Tonight is the night. I mean, 12 hours from now, there'll be about, 4 minutes left in the first period. The United States versus Canada. Gather the family around because it's time to witness history.
Well, I'm excited about the game. I'm worried that the U.S. may have a hard time beating Canada twice.
And yet you say that while you wear that USA sweater.
Well, it's the least I can do.
That's nice. Where'd you get that? You purchased that?
I think that was a Dick's sporting goods thing.
Out of that. Gosh.
Yeah, I know. How am I going to
Well, you asked.
No, it's. I didn't know if it was a gift. I didn't know you went out and purchased it like a real red blood American.
Had it a few years.
Oh, okay. Well, still, looks great.
Well, thanks.
Over-under, did you say the over-under was 5?
5.5, sir. 5.5. The money line, -110. Canada, -110. United States, there is no edge perceived by Las Vegas.
I'm going over. I'm almost going to guarantee an over, Tim.
Wow. Jackson gave people a big win last night with the over on Missouri, Alabama, and now Martin's allowing you to double your money.
I think I'm going to agree with him that it'd be over. Because I think they'll all play desperate hockey and charge the net and do everything they can. Put a lot of rubber.
End to end.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 4-3.
4-3.
U.S.
Wow. All right. Do you think we will see a scrap in the first minute?
No.
Okay. Shorten that market now.
I mean, we even asked Doug Armstrong if he'd punch Bill Guerin. I mean, we just pass along what the listeners would like to know.
Mm-hmm.
That's that simple.
It would be bad form if he were to punch Bill Guerin. Just in the press box or down in the interview room or something.
Well, that building kind of gets Army fired up. Remember the great Zamboni exchange where the guy wasn't cleaning the ice in time? It was the day before Game 7. And the guy said, and probably in a great Boston accent, "Who the heck are you, pal?" And Army screamed at him, "I'm the bleep bleep general manager of the St. Louis Blues." And basically said, "You get out there and clear that ice."
How about that?
I think Frank witnessed it.
How about that?
Do you remember that? You've heard that story, right?
I've heard that story.
I would love to. The Boston Zamboni guy, he would just say, "Hey, you goofball, get out of here, huh?"
Martin is wrong. This is the ultimate under game. That's from Harrison's brother Master. He is countering your intel that tells us that it's going over. I do agree. I think Doug Armstrong said this when he was with us yesterday, that you're not going to see a lot of penalties called. And I'd be curious for Jordan Binnington, who to date had his biggest moment and truly most incredible performance in the first 8 minutes or so of Game 7 in that very building 6 years ago, if this would be considered bigger than that. I don't think so, but I don't know. Hell, I don't know. You know what I mean? I mean, you're playing a Game 7 Stanley Cup at that building, and now you're going to play as the starting goaltender for Canada against the United States. I would think it's the Stanley Cup, but, I mean, hell, you heard Matthew Tkachuk talking about it. He won the Stanley Cup, and he was asked about it. He goes, "I've been waiting for this for 9 years.
Yeah, I would think if you've played for a Stanley Cup, you'd say that's probably bigger. And if you've never been in the finals, you'd say this is the biggest game you've ever played.
Well, more people care about this result than the Blues, because we were heavily invested, but all of Canada is counting on Binnington to win this game, as opposed to Festus, Fenton, Kirkwood, Melville, all of our listeners.
Brad Marchand, here he is, the guy that was on the ice crying as the Blues celebrated winning the Stanley Cup in this very building. Here's what he has to say about Jordan Binnington.
He's awesome. He's such a competitor. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. You see him, the way he focuses in the room, even in practice today. Just his attitude. Like he has the drive and the confidence to want to be the best, and you know, he has the confidence that you want in your goalie. I had actually had this conversation with him the other night. You know, when you have a goalie that has confidence like he does, it gives the entire group confidence. You know, like you feed off of that. It gives you a sense of calmness. You know, and it bleeds throughout the lineup and throughout the group. So it's been incredible to have him back there. It's been the backbone. Some of the saves he's made throughout this tournament has been, you know, you're going to watch him on replays for years and years. So it's awesome to play with him.
In about, Doug, 15 hours, he is either a god or goat in Canada. That's the way that it works. Yes. Yeah. That's the way it works.
Mm-hmm. Well, you hate to root against him since he's our guy.
He's a stick, huh?
I guess you root for something to happen where it's not his fault.
Yeah,
you certainly don't want to see someone be the GOAT in a game like this.
Yeah, I would like to see a low-scoring game that Binnington plays well.
But you've already released a 5-star play.
I can't help it. I'm just telling you. Hellebuck will give him some goals. Benner will give him some goals. That's how I read it.
You're talking almost under your breath.
Yeah, I don't really want to say it. I don't know, but I kind of think it'll be high scoring. Yeah.
Well, you got
I swear out loud, Doug. I mutter my prediction for games. I mutter those, but when I swear, I say it out loud.
Is that right?
I like that. I respect that. Does Jackson own one of those needlepoint belts with all the U.S. hockey team logos? That's from Bourbon Bob.
That'd be nice.
No needlepoint belts.
SEC teams?
No, that's the worst of them all.
Oh, why?
Why would I wear a Tennessee and Arkansas logo? I don't like those teams.
Just to show your SEC pride.
Yeah, I have pride at the University of Missouri, not in the SEC.
Do you own khakis?
Huh.
One pair, but they're not. They're
unused.
No, they're. It's like an elastic waistband. They're like joggers. They're like khaki
one size
joggers.
Fits all type.
No,
J. Randolph Sr. type.
They're mediums.
Sans the belt.
But they're joggers, so they have they're elastic at the bottom too.
I don't know what any of that means.
Huh?
You know what jogging sweatpants are?
Well, so they're not khakis.
They are khakis. They're khaki pants with an elastic bottom, kind of like a jogging sweatpant. So they don't have a belt
So it's a
loop.
jogging sweatpant, Tim. That happens to be a khaki.
No.
Could you wear them to Old Warson on a brunch?
No. Because they don't have belt
then they're
loops.
not khakis.
They don't have belt loops. If it had belt loops and I could tuck my shirt into it, then yes, I could. But they don't.
I don't think they're khakis. That's okay.
I'll wear them tomorrow.
You're doing
tell me they're not khakis.
tomorrow.
Yeah, all right.
That'll be a treat, Doug. We got something to look forward to on tomorrow's program.
Maybe I'll wear mine.
Tomorrow, I'm wearing jogger pants.
I'm wearing khaki joggers.
Okay.
Khaki-colored jogger pants.
But they're khaki material, too.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Rhett from Stiefel is listening to the program.
Oh, no.
And while they are grateful that as sponsors of the dossier, they were given first right of refusal on what is a cute corner. That's where I'm going to reside today. As an ill little boy. Stiefel is declining their option on sponsoring the cute corner. I thought the cute corner presented to you by Stiefel, I thought that was going to be outstanding. I think the dossier appeals to people with 7-figure net worth, and I think cute corner is 8-figure net worth. But, I guess Rhett knows better than I do, Doug. You know, I'm just a guy who went to journalism school and didn't graduate, so
we're just plugging away here.
We're meat and potatoes guys in here. We're fourth line guys,
Hello, Vivian.
Here's what you do. Okay. So we'll take the other deal. This Steve Adache. We'll give it to you for half what you pay now, and then we'll throw in the Q corner. Okay. So you just paid less, but we'll give you more. Is that fair?
That's a great negotiation.
Is that a good deal?
That's a great negotiation.
It's kind of how it works. It's kind of how we used to cut deals.
Martin, joggers are cut clothing for Gen Z. That's from former TMA fan page moderator Neil Allen Craig Paquette.
Nonsense. It's a very popular style of clothes, of pants, of trousers.
Well, I think when you said you couldn't wear it to an Old Warson brunch, it means it's not a khaki. Jogger.
It's not a traditional khaki, but the khaki material just has an elastic at the bottom.
Khaki isn't a material; it's a color.
Sure, but it's like then like a trouser kind of.
Don't say trousers. Don't say trousers.
The color doesn't make them khakis. Khakis require a zipper and normal waistband, and they look flattering on no one. Your pants are joggers. They're just colored khaki. Get it right, Piddles. That's from Sharon and Sanibel/Clayton.
First of all, you're assuming a lot there. The material is the same as any khaki you'd ever wear. They're still khakis, but they're just a different style of pants.
Okay.
Tim, what was more confusing?
They're not denim.
Whether Jackson went to a Mizzou game this year,
I eventually got there.
Whether he owns a pair.
I eventually got there.
Be comfortable in your trousers.
They are. I look great in them too.
I think the audience will stop by, drop off some khakis. I think somebody's going to needle point you.
And what nonsense is they need to have a zipper to be khakis? Who are you, the czar of bottoms? This is ridiculous.
Czar of bottoms. Doug, who wants that text in that name?
That is probably already taken.
That's nonsense.
Are you sideways with big khaki?
To have a zipper for it to be khakis? Who made that rule?
Good morning. Sharon is the worst texter this show has ever had. Doug, that's from the Loomster. And he finished second in the 2022 Listener of the Year competition, I think.
Sharon is one of the few confirmed female texters we have.
You're going after the self-made stay-at-home Ladue mom right now, and I'd be very careful.
She is not confirmed. She not confirmed.
What would a Jackson needlepoint belt contain? Maybe an image of a diaper, an image of a Mizzou tiger. I'm just trying to think like a Mount Rushmore that would end up on your belt.
I would never wear a needlepoint belt.
But we're going to have somebody make it.
How about we all wear khakis tomorrow?
All right. Yeah, we'd be cute.
All right, I'm in.
It works for Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, does he still do it? He went with the Chargers? I feel like now he's kind of moved away from it.
I don't know.
That's a good question.
Sean McVay wears joggers on the sideline, but he's actually cool. Libby Jack's fake khaki Boy Scout pants look dumb. That's Eric in the Central West End.
I've never
Boy
seen
Scout
them.
pants?
Not Boy Scout pants. I was never in the Boy Scouts. I actually took one look at the uniform of the Boy Scouts and said, hard pass.
Were you a Cub Scout?
No.
Everybody was a Cub Scout.
Yeah,
Not I.
you have to do that.
I took one look at the uniform and said, no thank you.
Because of the attire.
Yeah, it looked ridiculous.
Cub Scout was just a shirt, a blue shirt.
And then I was like, you have to miss one night of
neckerchief?
basketball practice too. I was like, no, what? Out. Not doing it.
No, what out? Man, I like
What,
that.
to build a-
what out? Boom, boom, boom.
To build a little boxcar thing to race?
Oh, Pinewood Derby, pony.
Now you're going
sell
to
popcorn?
trash that now?
Unbelievable.
An American institution, a tradition among fathers with their young boys?
Yeah, I was working on my jumper with my father.
Wow. My beautiful wife, Kim, has texted in. She, I think, is part of the alliance. Carson, our son, has a pair of those same pants that Jackson is talking about. They are made of khaki material.
Thank you. Thank you, Kim.
I'm sorry. I'm going to have to get sideways with my wife and Jackson and say, but are they truly what we define on the day as a pair of khakis?
I just don't think khaki is a material. It is a color.
You're right. You're absolutely right. But then what would you call the material that most khakis are made of?
Cotton?
There's varying kinds.
Right.
Could be
Gabardine?
Gabardine.
They could be any pants you have that are khaki colored could be considered khakis.
Okay, so this seems like a big W for me.
I apologize for bringing this up.
Oh,
How did it start? It
opened
was
up a can of worms.
Needlepoint
Yeah,
belt.
how did
You asked, do I own khakis?
Well, I know, but I did that after something else triggered that.
I have 10 or 12 pair of khakis at home. I'll bring you some.
Nice. How about that?
Let's all wear blue blazers tomorrow. In honor of the
Send a
U.S.
message. I think that's the relatable look that people are looking for. Arbor Day, who has won Texter of the Year the last 2 years, says, Sharon's fine, but she's a little too snooty about vacationing in a hurricane highway. That's from Arbor Day,
Hurricane
and he's
highway.
down on Sanibel.
Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can participate. Many people have texted in, and they want to be the czar of bottoms.
Right.
I don't know who you're going to award that to, Jackson, but that's out there. Robert Thomas is going to be with us at 8:15 in studio. Former Missouri gubernatorial candidate from 2012, Dave Spence, and he is currently on the RSA.
I believe he either was or is the regional sports authority that runs the Dome. They got some of that NFL money. So early on, I know he was part of that discussion.
That's 9 o'clock on the Stiefel dossier. Stiefel declining the sponsorship of Cute Corner. That's kind of a landmark moment, and they were able to do that pretty quickly without a board meeting.
Yeah,
I'm surprised.
I didn't see it coming.
About Rhett's authority. I don't know if Ron is aware that they declined the option on Cute Corner. Wonder if that'll be a problem at the office today. I don't know. I don't know.
Something to be talking about.
I don't know.
Well,
But,
Kim is still with Jackson. She said, yes, they are khakis, just not the old man khaki.
Wow,
So Doug and I are old man khaki.
Right.
Kim and Jackson are now aligned with the khaki, just not old man, Doug. You
Hell
and I
yeah,
are the
Kim.
old man.
Kim and Jackson, an alliance. I deep teased that there was a message that was left behind
Oh, yes.
by another program, Doug.
Okay.
Alarming, but also true. And I'm going to hold this up. Jackson, let me know if this is on the proper frame for the YouTube viewers.
Yep.
Those cameras sponsored by the Air Alliance team. And it says, you look as good as your golf swing from the Playful Posse. And I believe that is from one Andrew Marsh of the Fast Lane. Some know him as Marshy Marsh and the Playful Posse. And I don't know, Doug, but would I have a right to go to HR about sexual, what do you call it, harassment or harassment?
Well, it depends on how angry you are.
I'm furious.
Harassment.
It can mean
You've been
some
harassed.
kind of settlement. A boob job. There he is,
Are
right
you
there.
you upset by this? You're hurt by it?
Again, it's
Offended by it?
soiling the
Uncomfortable,
sanctity
maybe?
of my marital vows. Although, in fairness, when we did celebrate our wedding, and of course you know that was in November of 2011, I had the pastor, I kind of snuck this in, it's not cheating if it's gay. And so that was something.
The pastor read that.
That's an addendum?
So theoretically, if this is indeed from Marshy Marsh, he's not violating the sanctity of my marital vows, but I am being harassed by somebody here in the workplace.
You think he's hitting on you?
How else can I take it? I mean, my golf
When
swing.
is it okay to kiss a guy?
Oh, how do you know that was meant for you? Could
Yeah,
it
what
not
if
have
it was
been
for
meant
Doug?
for anyone who's sitting there
It
at
was
that chair?
pointed directly at him. And who's
But
going
a lot of people sit in that chair over the course of a day.
But my swing has been compared to Adam Scott's.
Has it?
Well, and who's going to be there first? He knows it's going to be Tim sitting there first.
It depends on when he put that up there.
He does the show from 2 to 6, so he knows that the wraparound
Sounds like
is next
Jackson's
day.
going to be testifying on my behalf, which is really saying something because Marsh and Jackson went out to get wine and watch a soccer game one afternoon.
There's no wine. We were having vino.
Oh,
What
wine
about
coolers.
Banty Billy's overnight show? Maybe it was meant for him. The guy who takes
you are
calls.
the best.
Okay.
You know who the best of radio is?
No.
Tim.
Local broadcast hero Tim McKernan.
Once you've won the Mike Lee crowd, you can pretty much just retire.
That's a huge constituency. Kim just feels sorry for Piddles and is providing a false alliance. As a woman, she can't be that confused about fashion. That's Sharon and Sanibel / Clayton, and now Kim is being involved, Martin, in the
I might have to
text.
say, if we ever said wife, call in, we might have to have
Oh,
a great.
wow.
We might, I don't know. Bob Thomas may have to wait.
Why? Martin's wife's on the line. Robert, don't mind anything.
I think we could ask Robert his opinion on this.
Oh, I'm sure he'll love that topic.
He knows about pants.
He knows about pants. Oh, and by the way, Mizzou won last night. We did spend about 40 minutes on it.
Bye, Tigers.
Spent about-
Beat Roll Tide. Jackson, deep down, you got to put $1,000 on it.
Right.
You take a Missouri or Arkansas. This is straight up, no points.
It's hard to win at Bud
I'm
Walton.
taking Arkansas, and I hate to say it, but that's why it's great that they got the win against Alabama.
Yeah, I respect that. I'm going to go with the Tigers
Now-
if I had to put money down.
I like their chances of winning out after Bud Walton.
Yeah. Home against South Carolina, at Vandy, at Oklahoma, at home against Kentucky.
See what I'm saying?
It's a favorable
4-1.
Yeah. If you go 4-1,
Now you win at Bud Walton. Where are you in the rankings next week? You top 10?
depends on what happens in front of them, but they would have maybe 10 on the dot. Maybe 10 on the dot. It's just that I'll have to take a look at what's in front of them. I don't know what's in front of them.
Morning, I'm with the Loomster. Sharon sucks. Thanks. That's from Flip Wilson. All of a sudden, one of our only female listeners is now.
No, I've met Sharon and her husband. Wonderful people.
Still a lot of support, though, for the self-made stay-at-home Ledoux mom. So
Not a mom, not a woman.
Not staying home, not in Ledoux.
No.
every moron being critical of the choice of pant right now needs to get off their high horse and look in the mirror. You've all bought pants at Costco before, so sit down. That's from Carlos
Easy.
Spicy Weed.
Easy. My father buys almost all of his pants at Costco and loves
Jackson
them.
Burkett, friend of the snow day.
Does he go to Costco intending to buy a loaf of bread, and then he comes home and says, "Oh, I also bought a furnace." You can walk out and say, "You know what? I bought a car. I thought you were getting cookies."
Yeah, he's retired, so he kind of just goes there and strolls.
You can do that at Costco. I was there the other day, the one in South County. There must have been 1,000 people shopping in there.
Yeah.
Enough food in sheer quantity to feed the entire city of St. Louis for about 3 days.
Maybe a
massive
small
amounts of
third
food.
world country could be fed.
Guys, you have more than one female listener. My wife has to listen every time she gets in my car. It's from the 646. How about that endorsement?
Okay.
Kind of a hostage
No
situation,
choice.
but still it counts, I think.
Usually the wives are the ones who control the radio. Not in his relationship.
Ever watch that Meet the Press?
What?
Never mind.
See, how about that?
I would like to know from the 636, Tim, I am crowdsourcing a bit.
Right.
Does she demand the station be changed? Does she say, hey?
I bet she loves it.
Okay.
How can you not?
Yeah, when you get Khaki Talk, Missouri, Alabama, and
Khaki Talk
United
wasn't even
States,
on
Canada.
the dossier.
Yeah,
That's the great thing about it.
We were able to call an audible. Robert Thomas is on the dossier. That dossier brought to you by Stiefel. That's at 8:15. And Katie Wu had a conversation yesterday. Friend of the show, Katie Wu? She's really the friend of the BK and Ferrario show.
Is she?
Even though I got to dine with her and Mike Claiborne last week, I feel like that's their person.
Vehicle?
You know what I mean? Their vehicle. Sure, I
Okay.
like that.
Yeah, sure.
And so I didn't want to say, hey, why don't you come on the program? Because then I feel like, you see what I'm saying? Do you follow me on that, Jackson?
Don't want to step on anyone's toes.
Yeah,
We
that's-
just like to
it's
get
not
along with
necessary.
everybody.
But she had a great conversation with Oli Marmol, and she asked point blank, what would you say to fans who are just not on board with this operation right now? Because the apathy is at an all-time high, or the anger is at an all-time high. You'll hear that coming up. Then Robert Thomas at 8:15. This is TMA, presented to you by Brown and Crouppen, 101 ESPN.
This is Action Jackson with the Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Four Nations Face-Off final right here on 101 ESPN tonight. United States taking on Canada. Pre-game at 6 p.m. Puck drop at 7 p.m. right here on 101 ESPN. That was another Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Powerful.
Sunflower gardens. Who work that 18th fairway singing this tune? Yeah, I don't like that.
That's where you check out.
Mm-hmm.
Bleach. Puts it in perspective, though, doesn't it?
Not really.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Fisher Window and Door Store, 8 o'clock hour. Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, Martin Kilcoyne, Jackson Burkett with you on the program, and we welcome you to participate in a myriad of ways. 276 friends are watching the program at youtube.com/TMASTL. You can get in there. Subscribe to the TMA YouTube channel, and anytime me and Jackson decide to do a 2.5-hour podcast titled Life is a Prize and Tim is the Trophy, is that what the...
Oh,
yeah.
Gosh.
That was the...
Life's a trophy and Tim is the prize.
Life's a trophy and Tim is the prize.
Severe eliminating.
Then you get a notification when we pop up. And what a wonderful podcast it was, the Tim McKernan Show podcast yesterday with me and Jackson. Robert Thomas on the Stiefel dossier coming up at 8:15. So in 5 minutes is the United States and Canada. Get ready for a Jim Dandy. Martin has released a 5-star play on the over tonight. Harrison's brother Master countered by saying this game is under all day long. For the record, the total in Las Vegas between the United States and Canada on goals scored is 5.5. Also, Stiefel has declined their option to sponsor the Cute Corner where I reside, and I'm ill today, so I'm going to stay there. And Doug and I won't have our post-show kiss.
We never do.
But Jason Gosrow of Schaefer Door Company says he is in on the Cute Corner.
Is he really?
Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
he's already sponsoring the TMA podcast, and now he wants the Cute Corner, and then he also says, and their chinos on the Jackson khaki debate.
That's fair.
There's
That's
a lot
actually
of
pretty fair.
chino textures.
Oh, is that right?
Too. Yeah.
Yeah, I concede that. I would concede that point.
You've been wearing chinos all along, and you thought maybe they were khakis?
Semantics, but I'd concede that they're chinos.
Might need
Khaki chinos.
Might need
How
a
about that?
Jeff Ablin drive-by to talk fashion.
Yeah.
Really drill it down.
Is he Neiman Marcus all day?
I think so.
Sounds right.
Doug, why don't you tell us about Jason Gosrow, sponsor of the podcast and the Cute Corner?
And the Cute Corner. And he also runs Schaefer Door.
Yep.
And does a fantastic job.
Tim. Just cut his price. You should get all three for a third of the cost.
He'll get your garage door working as he's done mine. Been out to my house a couple times because I've got this really old garage door. It creaks a little bit. Then I'm going to have to replace it at some point. But Schaefer Door Company has kept it going for several years now. Thank you very much, Jason Gosrow and his team. Schaefer is spelled, I'm going to spell it now, Schaefer. There's only one F there in Schaefer. A couple other businesses in town with Schaefer and two Fs. This is one F Schaefer. Quickest response time in the business. They service all kinds of garage doors for service and new installs with LiftMaster. LiftMaster garage door openers are strong, quiet, and versatile. And they have that special Monday morning standby service for those doors that break over the weekend. For whatever reason, that seems to be when they usually go. Over the weekend, you get in your car Monday morning, the door won't go up, and then you're in real trouble. But not if you call Schaefer Door. It's 636-782-3608. Here it is again, 636-782-3608. They will get out there toot sweet and get you taken care of. They also service those large commercial doors. If you run a business or warehouse and have those big giant doors, Schaefer is experienced in those types of jobs as well. The business employs multiple family members who've been working there for many years. They're service techs, not commission based. Won't try to sell you something that you don't need. The website, SchaeferDoor.com. Schaefer Door is a LiftMaster partner.
How about this? Did I just get a push notification 5 minutes before a guest is on? Look at you guys go today. That's from the 636. Jackson, I mean, here you are with Chairman Kurt out and ill. Robert Thomas going to join us in a matter of moments. Can't wait to hear what he has to say about tonight's game. And you sent out a push notification to the audience? This Jackson Burkett, Doug, he's all grown up and he's all grown up.
Nice pushing.
I'm going to say he didn't do it.
Ryder does that.
Midnight.
And honestly, and I don't mean to shade the texter, but kind of has been doing that, even like back to the balloon party days. Ryder's on top of it. Like I text Ryder our
How would
guest
the
list.
texter know this?
Yeah, why do you have to talk down to our listeners?
But they would know, like, push notifications
have been taking place
for a long time.
Maybe
this is nothing new.
Maybe they're new to
sure,
this.
Sure, that's fine.
Maybe
And we
they signed up
appreciate
for
if
it.
you're a new listener. We appreciate if you're a long-time listener. We appreciate you, and anywhere in between. And we appreciate Mike Ryder for helping us out there.
Yeah, we do.
Pretty much appreciate everybody.
I don't think Jackson does. I don't think Jackson appreciates Eric in the Central West End. I don't think he appreciates Harrison's brother Master.
Bingo.
I don't think he appreciates the St. Charles Hermaphrodite, who insinuates that Jackson has a Frank Haith blow-up doll that he sleeps with.
Yeah. Pat Bradley.
And then apparently Pat Bradley of the SEC Network.
The old golfer?
McKernan.
No, we were just talking about Pat Bradley, who's from Boston, but Jackson doesn't like him because he went to Arkansas and has adopted some kind of dialect that sounds like Brian Kelly, the head coach at LSU who grinds on high school recruits.
Right.
And he was on the receiving end of an Eli Drinkwitz tweet during the show last night. And I remember during the break, Tim, it was a joke about Caleb Grill being a quarterback. He threw that ball, shucks, all the way down court so he could be a quarterback at Mizzou. That was sort of the joke.
We're sitting here again talking about the same things.
Yep, right.
Well, Pat Bradley was a legend on the LPGA Golf Tour.
Well, this is
a different person, I know, but every time we say Pat Bradley, I want to know the difference.
Was that Big Mama? No, that was Joanne
She was
Carner.
the Queen Bee. I think they called her.
Queen Bee. I thought that was Beyonce. Pat Bradley, is she the aunt or do you say aunt of Keegan Bradley?
I say aunt.
Is that right?
No.
I don't know why I say aunt.
And Keegan Bradley was talking to Rory McIlroy during the TGL this week and said, how about those Kachuk boys? You just have to love those Kachuk boys. You know, Keegan's all fired up. He's from the Northeast. Can't wait for tonight. It's going to be a gym dandy. 7 p.m. puck drop. Told my wife, I said, gather the boys around. I want them to see this. I want them to appreciate this. And I cannot wait. I hope the game lives up to it. Sometimes you have these moments and the game gets out of hand and there isn't a whole lot there. But this is a great moment and opportunity for hockey in the United States.
I think early in the season we didn't give much thought to this. We just thought, what is it that they're going to play now instead of the All-Star
Robert
game?
Thomas
Where are they
didn't make the
going?
roster. That sucks. Hell, I don't know what the deal is. They're not going to play for a couple weeks. I was listening to Scott Van Pelt's podcast, and he said, we got to be honest, we just missed this. We didn't know what this thing was. But the NHL and the game of hockey got it right. They have taken something that I think 7 days ago, I would say 95% of sports fans in the United States weren't even aware of. And turned it into, 7 days later, the event in television. And again, it's benefited by the fact that there isn't a whole lot going on. I know you're looking forward to the Mexico Open, and if Jake Knapp can defend his title
Didn't know what was going on.
So you're not really looking forward to it then?
Not that much, no.
So other than that, the association, Jackson?
We got a Caruso push notification in Jupiter when we were saying nothing was going on, and he texted me, and I could just feel his anger. Four Nations tournament, as if to say, why aren't you talking about that? And I kind of rolled my eyes while also being blinded by the sun that day.
Sure.
And I'm like, you know what? I issued did I not issue an apology to Mike Caruso?
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. Well, he's a generous executive, and he set us straight once again. When has Mike Caruso been wrong? Answer that. It's rhetorical because the answer is never. Send your emails in for the Design, Air, Heating, and Cooling email today that comes your way on the Stiefel dossier at 1050. Stiefel, of course, missing their opportunity to sponsor the Cute Corner, but Jason Gossrow and the Schaefer Door Company took that, so it's now the Schaefer Door Company Cute Corner. Design Air sponsor the email of the day, and you're getting MVC tournament tickets for winning today's Design, Air, Heating, and Cooling email of the day. The game tonight is great, but I've never heard such overhype for an exhibition, and this guy is not happy about it.
Well, isn't everything ultimately an exhibition? Couldn't you say the Olympics are an exhibition?
Wow.
I like that.
Mary Lou Retton takes a
take.
shot.
No, I'm in agreement with Doug.
Yeah, there's nothing terribly important other than it's an entertainment vehicle.
It's international.
Yeah.
It's an international game. It's to represent your country, and that means something.
Right.
But I think the players are sincere when they talk about it. Like Matthew Kachuk, like how much it means to them to have that opportunity.
Because they so rarely get to play the international game.
Well, anytime you put on the jersey of your home country, I think it's meaningful for
and
people.
chosen to represent your country, it really does mean something. I'm behind these guys.
Doug, you think kids are growing up in Greenland waiting to play for the U.S. of A?
What do you think the
will,
Greenland
as soon as we take
population
over the
is?
place.
What do you think the Greenland population is?
That's a great question.
I'll say 400,000.
I actually think you're probably within some kind of good range on that.
Maybe that might be high.
It's high. 56,865.
You're kidding me.
Yeah,
That's the size of
Holy
Chesterfield.
Yeah.
Taking up arms. Let's see. The first thing that comes up, Greenland population, when you type in Greenland.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Beautiful this time
Not
of
a
year.
place where you're going to want to live.
the least densely populated area in the world.
You said last week 95% of the people didn't know about that. This week, 94.9% people don't know about it. Doug, that's from the 314.
What does that mean? What did that mean?
I'll read it again. You said last week 95% of the people didn't know about that. This week, 94.9 people don't know about it.
Okay.
Oh, exactly.
Read the better
Dumbass text.
I think he nailed it.
Jackson, is Robert Thomas with us? I don't want to miss it. I know you text me when he is.
No. Are we going to do it this segment or are we going to break?
Hey, you know what? That's why you have the C on your sweater.
You're the captain of Creve Coeur.
Let's break because there's an intro to be played for Robert Thomas.
Ah, got it. Okay. All right. I didn't know that. I figured you probably weren't connecting with him.
No. I just.
I was just going to read texts that may or may not make sense.
Yeah. Exactly. He just actually texted me.
And what do you have to say?
Close question mark? I say yes.
Oh, boy.
Uh-oh.
I hope he wasn't listening because if you're delayed, and they're talking khakis in Greenland, you're like, really?
Yeah.
Well, it's just a miscommunication between me and Tim. He's in the cute corner.
Yeah, I'm in the cute corner.
And that's my fault. I'll take the heat on this one.
Yeah, the fact that I'm even here today, I think it's inspiring people, and I should probably get some kind of an award. I hope that doesn't come off as self-indulgent.
You're good, Cal Ripken.
Ladies and gentlemen, Robert Thomas with us next here on TMA. 101 ESPN.
Schnucks, the place to go to stock up on your groceries and also the place to save money. They realize prices have been going up. They're doing something about it. Everybody talks about it. How about somebody doing something about it? That's what Schnucks has done. Lowering the prices on over 2,300 items. Throughout the store, you will see the savings. You can also check out the digital shelf tags. We can tell you about a few of them. We talk about Jackson. He likes that Stoke cold brew. That's been marked down. The Tyson Family Pack Chicken. That's been marked down. Organic Girl salad kits marked down. 2,300 items, meaning whatever's on your grocery list, there's probably something that has been marked down. Schnucks trying to help you out during these tough times at the grocery store. I guarantee there's a Schnucks near you. Stop by, save money, everyday savings that you can count on. All of it at your local Schnucks. New lower prices every day on 2,300 items.
TMA 101 ESPN. The show is also live on YouTube at youtube.com/TMASTL. Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, Martin Kilcoyne, Jackson Burkett with you on the program. And it is our pleasure to welcome to the Callier and Thompson phone lines here on 101 ESPN. Friend of the show for his regular weekly appearance on the program, Robert Thomas. Morning, Robert.
Morning, guys. How we doing?
We're good. We're fired up. How do you feel about the festivities that are about 11 hours away tonight?
Yeah, I'm excited to watch. I'm excited for Perry and dinner. It's going to be such a cool and memorable game, and it should be a ton of fun to watch.
Were players kind of on board with this at the outset because of the international competition, or did they say, I don't know, we'll see how it plays? Did they have a sense it was going to be this big a deal?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have been waiting a long time to watch and play in these games, and it was always a big deal. I mean, I know it's just 4 teams, but just to have the best players playing against each other, it was a huge deal for all the players, and you can tell based on how these games have gone just how important it was.
What sort of game would you expect tonight? Wide open or tight checking or more fighting, or what are you expecting?
I think it's going to be tight checking. I think it's going to be really hard to score. Obviously, 2 great goalies in net, and it's going to be tight. I think you're looking at probably. I know I said 4-2 yesterday, but the more I thought about it, I think it's going to be a 2-1, 3-1 game.
Wow. Robert Thomas
against I'm taking the over.
Yeah,
Robert.
Martin released a 5-star play on the over, which is at 5.5. And Harrison's brother Master came back and said this is an under all day. And now Robert Thomas.
Now we're sideways.
Yeah,
man. Do you think it's different for Bennington in that building? Just having do you think there's a little bit of emotion being in that building where he won a Game 7?
I don't think so. I think he's going to be fired up. I don't think it really matters what building it is in, especially being in the U.S. He likes playing where everyone's against him, and he likes proving everyone wrong. So that's more what I'm looking for.
Is it strange at all to suddenly be teammates with guys that you have battled so fiercely against in the past, or they just immediately put that aside? How's that dynamic play out?
Oh, hockey's great like that. Whether it's you're playing against a friend in the playoffs or it's pretty easy to forget things. Things that happen on the ice stay on the ice, and it's funny. Usually, the people you hate the most playing against are usually some of your close friends when you play with them.
Oh, how about that? What did you think as you were watching your good friends, Matthew and Brady Tkachuk, getting the scraps going with 3 fights in the first 9 minutes, and then you get to see your teammate getting some work in when he's not usually out there scrapping himself? What did you think of that start on Saturday night?
Yeah, I thought that was awesome. That was really cool. Just for all it did for hockey, it's blown up everywhere. A lot of people that usually don't talk about hockey are tuned in for this tournament, and especially for tonight. And it's really amazing what they did. I think all players should be thanking those 6 guys.
You and Kyra won a gold medal playing for Canada in the junior championships. Is there any sense you can give us back home what this means to the entire country? Like, will everyone be watching? How big is this back home?
Yeah. Canada lives and dies with hockey. I think every person in Canada I know will be watching the game. I think all of Canada will be. Hockey means everything to them. That's their national pride. That's pretty much all we got. So the whole country will be in on this one, and it's a lot of fun up there, especially around tournaments like this.
What about Labatt's, maple syrup, comedians? I mean, Canada, there's more than hockey. I'm here to help you out.
Yeah, there definitely is more to hockey, but this is hockey's number one. And, win or lose, I think it'll be a holiday tomorrow for sure for the whole country.
Nice, I like that.
Well, hopefully Hellebuck will be tired when you see Winnipeg on Saturday night. That's a tough way to get started again, and against maybe the best team in the league.
Yeah, it's a great challenge. Obviously a team in our division that's at the top of the league, and it's a great way to get us started on the back stretch here and get us off on the right foot.
I know in reality you guys aren't going to be in a spot where you can speak freely about it, but I would imagine it's something where there's an undercurrent of conversation, whether you're amongst yourselves or just thinking about it. And we had Doug Armstrong with us yesterday talking about the trade deadline. Braden Shen talked about it with Lou Korak a couple of days ago. What are your thoughts on what's approaching and how things can be going down for your team over the next couple of weeks before this trade deadline?
Yeah, I think as players we understand the spot we put ourselves in, and it's not up to us. Our biggest thing is we got a huge game against Winnipeg. We got a huge game against Colorado right after, and those are big games that we know if we are able to win those, we can get our second stretch off on a good foot and kind of get back in business. So that's where we're looking at is the first couple of games coming out of the break and trying to get things rolling.
What'd you do during the break, and was it a good mental reset for you, do you think, and the whole team?
Yeah, I think it was good. You're able to get away from hockey a little bit, take your mind off it, reflect on a lot of things, and really think about how this year's gone and how situations have been handled, and get a good grasp at what you kind of want to accomplish for the rest of the year.
Did you stay in town the whole time, or were you able to get away and bring out the golf clubs a little bit?
No golfing, but was able to get away. And sorry, one second. I'm walking my dog. There's a car coming.
Oh no!
Oh no, Doug.
And it was nice. Able to get some sunshine in, burn a little bit, and it was great. Just get working out and feeling good for the second half.
Burn a little bit. That sounds like Jackson. We were down at spring training. The Florida sun. Jackson's a little on the pale side, so he likes to burn. He doesn't like to, but it burn. Do you have to take a precaution with that?
Yeah, when you spend all winter in hockey rinks and not in sunshine, it doesn't take much. No matter what SPF you got, you're gonna find a way to burn. So that's kind of how it goes for me.
Okay.
I can sympathize with that.
Yeah, Jackson, you're now in an alliance with Bob Thomas.
Yeah,
Did you see
and
that
18.
happen there? What kind of dog do you have?
I got a Bernedoodle.
Oh, look at that. See, Tim, we're learning stuff on the show
good.
today. Do you watch with teammates tonight? How do you watch?
Yeah, we're going to get together as a group and
Nice.
watch it and support our boys out.
I'm a little disappointed you didn't bring the golf clubs, honestly. I'm having a tough time with that.
Yeah, you know what? During the season, you put the golf sticks away.
How about that? Look at that.
Oh.
Look at that, Doug.
Probably look bad if you're caught playing golf at coming off a loss or
vacation, though.
something.
It's a 2-week break, and this guy loves the game.
Yeah.
He's a dangerous, I'm going to say, 8 handicap. That's what I think. I think he's a dangerous 8.
I bet he's better than that.
Yeah, lower.
4.5.
Oh.
4.5. How about that? You dissed him.
Probably insulted by
Yeah,
the
it should
8.
be.
Yeah.
And that'll be his edge coming out Saturday.
Yeah,
That
when
Tim
he
pissed him off
yeah,
like
he
golf.
pissed him off by saying he's an 8.
It's going to take.
Robert, we always appreciate the conversation. Certainly looking forward to tonight, and then you boys getting back on the ice on Saturday against the Jets. We appreciate it, and best of luck here as the rest of the season commences Saturday at Enterprise Center.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
All right, man. Take it easy. It's Robert Thomas with us here on 101 ESPN. Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, Martin Kilcoyne, Jackson Burkett with you. Robert Thomas leaves the sticks, Doug, at home when it's time for the season to be played.
Right. It's probably just bad optics. You were golfing.
But he was probably somewhere in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Who's going to see him down there? Right?
I don't know.
I don't think it's bad optics.
There's Jackson
What a guy
Burkett.
does on vacation.
I think he's
Who cares what Hoosier fan thinks of what you're going to do?
Whoa! How about this guy, huh?
Well, some Hoosier fan would be like, well, should it be, what, you expect the guys to nonstop be on the ice, never take a break, never do anything? If you work a job and you go out on a Saturday and play golf after a bad week at work, are you a bad optics? Nonsense. That's what I say.
No,
listen to this guy.
He said he doesn't play golf, though, during the season.
I get that walking in. I respect that. But the idea of like, oh, I don't want to, like some fan thinking I'm being lazy.
No,
kick rocks.
But in ways, it's kind of like being seen at a bar if you're a professional athlete and having your picture taken with a beer in your hand. Nobody really cares if they have a beer, but it's going to look like, oh my God, here's a team struggling. You're in bars drinking. It's not fair, but it's probably something that they think about.
Jay Cutler, the night of the NFC Championship in Chicago, got dinged up in the game and then was out to dinner that night.
Taking the edge off.
If someone has to put down their knitting needles to tweet at me about having a drink afterwards, I wouldn't care too much.
Knitting needles.
How many people are using knitting needles?
The kind of people who complain about a guy having a beer after a game.
I really like Kick Rocks.
Yeah, Kick Rocks and knitting needles. Who wants those text inbox names?
Do you have a T-shirt, Tim, for Kick Rocks?
I think it's time. Victor Scott sat down with Corey Miller, KSDK, and Doug, I think we might have something gaining traction here.
Okay.
Take a listen to this.
I keep saying this term, but I had stuttered when I first said this term. And I said the word youngry, and I meant to say youthful and hungry, but I said youngry, and then everybody was like, oh, we got to run with it. And I'm like, hey, but I mean, that's kind of what this group is. I mean, it's not a clubhouse full of all veterans. Of course, we have veterans, Sonny, Wilson, Nato. We have those veterans to lean on. But at the end of the day, the majority of the group is a bunch of young guys. So with that being said, that youthful, that hungriness that we have can be really effective when you get out there on that diamond. I mean, it's kind of hard to stop guys from running all over the field, man, especially when we are paying attention to as much detail as we are, being attentive to the game situations, being strategic. I mean, it's hard to beat, but when we do those things correctly, it's gonna be a fun year.
Youngry. Doug, it's catching on. An accident on TMA is the slogan for the 2025 World Champion St. Louis Cardinals.
There is a lot of truth to what he says. And the reality is there's only a couple of positions on the team that are just nailed down. You know this guy's going to be there. And there's 5 or 6 that are pretty much wide open. So if everybody has to really push it hard every day that they're out there, it can only be a good thing for the team. You figure Wynn's going to be the shortstop, Arenado's at third, and Contreras is at first. And beyond that, everybody else is pretty much fighting for playing time, I think.
Youngry started here.
By accident.
Started here. He said he was stuttered a little bit. He was nervous being on TMA.
I mean, when you're around the caliber of broadcasters we are, that's going to be tough for people, and we understand that. That's why I always kind of put my hand on theirs and say, hey, we're just guys. We put our lifts on the same way.
We go to stretch school just like the rest of you.
And he was sitting right next to you, so he's very close to the cute corner down there.
Cute corner brought to you by Schaefer Door Company. Boy, Stiefel's going to be sweating that mess.
I think Mo brought us down there to kind of be part of the initiation, the nervousness, to kind of get it out of him by, kind of running through the car wash that is TMA.
Yeah. Paul Goldschmidt over in, where are they, Tampa, St. Pete?
Tampa.
Or wherever they are. I know that's where the Rays are playing this year. Was raving about Nolan Arenado yesterday. Said he makes the people around him better. I've seen him being a great leader in St. Louis, trying to help out his team and help out guys, hitting, defense, all that type of stuff. He's very willing and open to talk. He expects a lot out of himself, and he expects a lot about the guys around him. Is Paul Goldschmidt lobbying the Yankees to tend to third base with Nolan Arenado?
Now, I'm not down there in the locker room like I once was, but Arenado has always seemed to be a very pleasant guy and open, and I don't know why there would be this cloud over his head that he might somehow be a bad clubhouse presence. But, you hear those whispers every now and then. But I've never got that sense at all that he's been anything other than professional.
Well, I think Paul Goldschmidt's lobbying for him to join him in the Bronx. I think there's a chance on that one, Jackie Papers.
He'd look good in the pinstripes. Most people do. He'd have to shave his beard, but he'd be okay.
Still no beards in the Yankee club.
That's right. Harrison Bader himself had to cut that hair when he got traded over there in 2022.
You like that?
No.
You don't like it?
No, I think it's a silly rule.
Oh.
You can email in for the Design Air Heating and Cooling email of the day. We have silly rules there. The morning after at InsideSTL.com. Giving away Missouri Valley Conference tickets for the winner of today's Design Air Heating and Cooling email of the day. Former Missouri gubernatorial candidate Dave Spence is going to be in studio. He's on the RSA board now. And we've had some of these conversations on TMA about the state of the region and what can be done. Here is somebody who is actually in the trenches. Looking forward to that conversation coming up at 9 o'clock. And also the Design, Air, Heating, and Cooling email of the day. Send yours in. That's what's coming your way on the Stiefel dossier. Miss anything? Podcast via the Schaefer Door Company podcast app. And that is where you can hear Robert Thomas's conversation with us in our first half hour of the show, which was all Missouri, Alabama, after another huge win for the Tigers. First time since the 1988-89 season that they have beaten a top 5 team 3 times. In this case, it's been Kansas, Florida, and Alabama. In 1989, it was Oklahoma, 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 which also is a wonderful musical, right?
Oklahoma, where the wind comes sweeping down the plains. Yes.
How about that, Martin?
They don't make them like that anymore.
No, they don't.
Oh, your mic's not on.
Is that right?
Turn his mic on,
He
Dave.
left. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. The chairman's not here. Our guest, Dave Spence, had been waiting at the door for a while, and I was going to ask Jackson, but he's busy.
Yeah.
So I thought I made an editorial decision. You guys could.
I think it was the right thing to do. And I can't leave the cute corner.
No.
Now that Schaefer Door is sponsoring it, too. Ladies and gentlemen, all that's coming your way. This is TMA on 101 ESPN and the TMA STL YouTube channel. This is the morning after, and it's 101 ESPN, joined by Robert Thomas in the previous segment. And Dave Spence will be with us. He was at the Missouri game last night. And he is going to be with us in studio. We'll talk Missouri and Alabama, and also his position in leadership in the St. Louis area and the state of our region. Joining us right now in studio here on TMA, presenting sponsor of the morning after. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome to our dais Andy Crouppen. Doug, look at
Thank you.
What do you think about Doug's USA sweater?
You know, I noticed it when I walked in. I didn't take you as a USA sweater kind of guy, but it looks great on you.
You feel like he's anti-America, don't you, Andy?
No, Doug?
No.
Come on.
I'm a USA rights holder. And
his middle name is Patriot.
There you go.
How about that, Doug?
Thank you. That warms my cockles. But and your fro is looking great, too.
I am so jealous of that.
You know what happened? We were in Mexico over the weekend, and I got a little swimmer's ear. And this morning, my wife kindly put my eardrops in for me because I have a little ear infection. And then I realized, oh, man, I didn't shower first. So the hair looks like this.
It looks great.
Yeah.
It really does. I'm a big fan.
You like how I worked in that we went to Mexico?
Yes.
Jackson. Yeah.
Did you bring your clubs, or are you like Robert Thomas? You don't golf during Warrior season?
No, I'm not a huge golfer. We actually just went down there last minute. We have 3 kids. There was no anything other than fighting and eating.
Oh, so the kids went on this trip.
Oh, yeah.
So this is a last-minute family trip. How old are your children, by the way?
2, 11, and 12.
Wow, so you're dealing with what I got going on, too.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Fighting and eating.
At least you kind of got some built-in babysitters there, though, for the 2-year-old.
Yeah, how does that work?
They're great.
Not so much.
Do you have them sign a waiver before you guys go out to
Something. Yes.
I'm going to need you kids to sign this document. Your grandpa put it together. Here you go.
And the 2-year-old is very... I don't know what to say. She's very active and a little bit feral. You know, if she doesn't like something at the table, you're sitting there and she'll just, you know, we're sitting at dinner and there's just food being thrown across the room and silverware. No. And I don't know what to do about it. The other kids weren't like that. I think when you have a third kid that is so much younger than the other 2, who is really trying to keep up with not 3 or 4-year-olds, but with 11 and 12-year-olds, it's just a lot of attitude. It's funny until it's not.
I've never heard somebody describe their kid as feral before.
She just roams the streets.
Like a barn cat.
Mostly just grunts for food. No, she's very verbal and very funny, but... got a lot of big ideas for 2.
That age will wear you out as a parent because they can physically do pretty much anything they want, and they don't realize they're about to die.
No.
They're about to walk in front of a car.
Yeah. No, you got to keep your eyes on her.
Oh, yeah. It's a young man's game.
We were talking about this in the commercial break, but yesterday, after schools were shut down for what wasn't, in this area, I think to the south and west, it certainly was, a large amount of snow, and we were putting it out to attorneys to see if there was a particular case in which a school district was sued, not necessarily locally, but just somewhere in the U.S., and that has led to what I think many would say are aggressive cancellations of school relative to the actual precipitation. And you, when we were talking about it, said you were not aware of anything that stands out, and nobody in the audience was either.
I'm sure it has happened somewhere. Was it successful? Who knows? But to be honest with you, the way they canceled 2 days of school this week for an inch and a half of snow, I think their bigger worry is that parents are going to start suing because of the cancellations. And they may have some success. I mean, it's crazy. Now, I get it. A lot of teachers live far away. And I think the bigger problem is not the districts, but it seems like for whatever reason, we've just stopped clearing snow. Maybe crime is such a problem that we figure, hey, when we get a big snowfall, that's a crime deterrent for a day or 2. It'll keep our statistics down. And maybe that's why it doesn't make any sense to me. There was no reason why they couldn't have cleared that snow overnight. It was because it was when I went to work yesterday, it was like, I don't know, let's say 8:30 a.m., right? The roads were terrible. And I had to run an errand at noon. Roads were pristine. So clearly it wasn't the snow. They had cleared it. Why didn't they do that at 2 a.m. so that people could go to school and go to work? It was crazy. This seems like something new. This
is a different deal, you know? That's what I'm wondering about.
You said in the commercial we've turned into an Atlanta. Like an inch of snow paralyzes us. If somebody were in a bad wreck and they say, well, I'm suing the school, I'm suing the superintendent, would they have a case?
I mean, I guess in theory you could envision a set of circumstances, but it would be something crazy. It would be, it's -14 and we got 43 inches of snow last night and the superintendent was drunk when they made the call. You know what I mean? It would take some pretty
extenuating.
Yeah, it would be. And then, most then there's some immunity for most government entities as well. It would be very difficult, but I guess it's theoretically possible. But I do think it's more possible that people are going to sue saying, hey, get these kids in school. This is ridiculous. You can't cancel school for 2 days over an inch of snow.
Mm-hmm. My binge drinking is your fault, superintendent. That's my case.
But somebody just slipping on a patch of ice on school property, that you don't have a case there.
Well, that's different. It depends on generally with that kind of stuff. If it is before they made any attempt to clear it, like the snow is just falling, then it's probably an act of nature. If they let it go for days, okay, maybe they should have cleared it, so that's possible. Or if they did it and did it sort of in a negligent manner and didn't do it well, then you may also have a case there as well. But again, government entities often have immunity or there are caps on what you can recover.
Are homeowners liable? Like if the UPS guy slips and falls on your sidewalk?
Sure, they can be.
Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, you certainly, if you create a dangerous condition on your property, you didn't shovel the snow right, or you maybe didn't shovel it at all, or, I mean, there are certainly, if you have negligently created a dangerous condition on your property, and someone who has a right to be on your property, like a UPS driver, because you've essentially invited them onto your property by ordering something, there is some possible liability.
So maybe don't order anything here for a day or two. Right,
please don't order anything.
Right.
When we come back from vacation, I feel like there is a soul-crushing amount of packages sometimes at the house when we get back.
There was actually a truck just dumping package after package.
Just leave the truck on my lawn.
Andy Strickland says, I'll pick up the box, take it into my wife, turn around, and there's another one. He's like, I just picked up the box from the doorstep.
It's like whack-a-mole.
And I turned around, and there's another one.
We're getting texts from some people in the South who are TMA listeners. I grew up in Atlanta. We are Atlanta now with these snow cancellations. Fortunately, that's the only overlap with Atlanta and Petticoat Junction. That's from Alan Dadeville. Mario, who is now in Charlotte, says, and he got sideways with caller Janet, says, moved to Charlotte in June. My kids have been home 3.5 days this winter for 3, quote, storms that have brought a total of under an inch of snow. Lawsuits is the least of the school's concerns. My wife may commit homicide if these kids don't get out of our damn house soon. Doug, that's Mario in Charlotte, and I guess council is going to have to consider that to be a warning of some capacity.
You think maybe some of this is due to the media hype, where if you watch TV news, they'll tell you that we're all going to die if you don't watch them because of this storm that's coming.
It was like when you Google a splinter, you're dying.
It goes straight to your heart.
I don't know what it is. I mean, I'm sure there's part of that, but I really feel like there is a legitimate element of it in that you have a lot of teachers who don't live in the district they teach in. Some live very far away, and they got to get there safely. And if the roads really aren't cleared, there's maybe no way to get the teachers there safely. I don't think, certainly not in our district, because gosh, so many of the kids live within walking distance of the schools that it has to be to provide, safe passage for the teachers, which is totally acceptable and reasonable. It's that they don't plow an inch of snow. It stopped snowing at 1 a.m.? Like they had all night to plow. It just, I don't know. Nobody seems to know. This is a very new development that somebody's got to get to the bottom of.
I think the late start is the great compromise. Okay, we want you to be safe. We get
Yes.
it. You're going to be running a little behind. Just take your time. We'll see you at 9. Just chill out. I think that's the way to go.
One of your listeners has to be like an aspiring sleuth. What about Carlos Spicy Wiener?
where's Carlos
What can you
Spicy
find
Wiener?
out about this, Carlos?
Carlos Spicy Wiener is on
Somebody
the
actually
case.
said their dad was a superintendent and said you wouldn't want to deal with the parents. You wouldn't believe
No.
the amount of complaints. I guess either way.
Yes.
You can't
I
win.
think that's right. Let's
Andy-
get Shrimply Pibbles on
Yeah,
this.
where's Shrimply Pibbles? Get on that Shrimply Pibbles. Andy Crouppen with us, Brown and Crouppen, the presenting sponsor of TMA. Welcome back to these United States of America. Andy with us here on TMA. Dave Spence is going to join us in segment in the next 9 o'clock hour, brought to you by Mark Hanna, Evergreen Wealth Strategies. Andy Crouppen with us here on TMA. This is The Morning After, presented to you by Brown and Crouppen on 101 ESPN.
This is Action Jackson with a SportsCenter update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Missouri Tigers defeat the Alabama Crimson Tide last night. Number 4 team in the country goes down in Columbia. 110 points by Missouri. That's the most points scored by a team in a home win over a top 5 opponent since February of 1989. Wow. That was another SportsCenter update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
My Martin, you coached up your boy right there, and I think he delivered with the inflection.
It was a little flat for your Missouri Tigers.
First half hour of the program was all Missouri, Alabama. We'll revisit that thing right now, as a matter of fact, because our guest in studio here on TMA and our Mark Hanna, Evergreen Wealth Strategies 9 o'clock hour, was at the game last night. Now he's here. Dave Spence is in studio on TMA. Welcome.
All right, MIZ.
Hi, Tigers, EOU. And Andy Crouppen, who's the presenting sponsor of the show, noticed that Martin gave a seat to Dave, but when Andy was in here, he was standing, and I would imagine they'll be canceling the sponsorship within the next few minutes.
That's the end of that.
So that'll wrap that up.
Well, I wanted Dave, because I think he's going to say Sal in, Tim. He's going to hang for a little bit. I just wanted him comfortable as we spit some economic takes.
Don't care about Andy's comfort?
He pretty much dissed Andy in the hall.
He did. I saw that whole thing. What did you think of that game last night?
Man, that was exciting. I'm a little crusty today, though. I think I laid my head down like at 12:50 or something like that after driving back. And the place was electric. I mean, I haven't been to a Tigers game in a couple of years, and it was crazy. Yeah. Every time they needed a boost of energy, the crowd went nuts. And I'm telling you, that Mark Sears of Alabama, he is a lottery pick. He is unbelievable. And we held him to 34, 33 points, something like that. He could have scored 50. Really? He was that good. But we clamped down on defense, and they hit the three-pointers when they need to. And it was exciting as heck.
Were you planning on storming the court until Coach Gates said not to?
Yeah, I really was. Yeah, I was thinking about that.
That stopped you in your tracks?
Tearing down the goal, tearing down the nets, the whole thing. Yeah.
Have you ever stormed a court or a football field or anything?
No, but I've watched a few of them down, especially football-wise. In my day when I went down there, I didn't do it, but tore the goalpost down and took them down to Harpo's and everything else. But somebody said, well, why didn't they storm the court? It's like, well, okay, they stormed the court versus KU, and it cost them $250,000. So if they stormed the court last night, it would have cost them $500,000. Yeah. So if I were Dennis Gates, I would have gotten on that microphone too.
Yeah, he did the exact same thing there. 1.5 seconds left and kept the fans from storming the court. Dave Spence is in studio with us, and Dave ran for governor in 2012, correct?
That is correct.
That is correct.
Now I'm still running from it.
You're running from that experience. What was that? What was that experience like?
It was a little crazy. You think it'll be a rational playing field, and it's not at all. You've got the extremes of both parties that make it just irrational, and it makes it impossible to have a conversation. It's either you're with me or against me. They want to pigeonhole you on every single issue, and it's just not how normal world is. Like, four of us are in the studio and are having a conversation, and it's just impossible. Because they want to know, if you're for this, are you 100% for this? Yeah. And I just don't think that's the real world.
That's not the way things actually get done.
And once you declare you have a bullseye on your back, and your family and friends and everybody, I had people that I've really ever just said hi to, that are all of a sudden trying to pinpoint me on issues, or like, I don't like your view on this, and it's like, wait a minute, just yesterday we were friends. So I would say it's a tough world. I don't think it's real rational. I think it's even gotten worse with social media.
But you were a successful business guy. You didn't need to do it. Did people tell you, don't do it? Why did you?
Well, I just thought, I looked at our landscape, and we've got kids 27 to 34 at this point, and extrapolating back to 2011, 2012, it seems like everybody's kids were going to Dallas or Chicago or San Francisco, wherever. And I just kind of looked around and I said, man, we are like a 6'3", 240-pound linebacker and can't make a play on the field as a state of Missouri. And so we've got all these great divides, Kansas City versus St. Louis, rural versus metro. And we have great assets and great qualities about our state, and we're right in the center of the country. And, we're not going to lead the nation in windsurfing, but there's a lot of things we could lead the nation in. We've got great natural resources here. We've got mineral resources here. We've got great urban areas. We're in almost top 5 category in almost every ag statistics out there. People don't realize we're like number 5 in rice. Or things like that, and cattle and soybeans. And so we have a lot going for us, but we sit there and we're our own worst enemy. We can't get out of our own way. Sometimes, when you see an athletic contest and people play not to lose. And I think that's the way we've run Missouri in the past. Now, give credit where credit is due. I think we're trying some bold things now on the statewide level, and I think they'll be successful.
Anything you would have done differently, knowing what you know now? So you were up against Jay Nixon. Was he the incumbent at the time?
He was the incumbent, yeah. And I think that's, Martin, that's a good point, because I really underestimated the power of the incumbency. And so somebody who's already in office pretty much gets all the breaks unless it's something just so egregious. And unless there's this huge scandal or something like that. But, they can show up to a ribbon cutting, and I have to pay for commercials, and so and there's name familiarity. He'd been in public office for, 26 years, something like that. And so, people, the knowledge of the average voter is appallingly low, unfortunately.
That's not particularly surprising to hear, but I would imagine incredibly unfortunate. And so now, fast forwarding to present day, your involvement, which I think will get people, anytime we talk about kind of state of the region issues, Dave, it really gets this audience, and this goes back on TMA, but in particular here in recent months, it really gets people going. There is a passion for it. And maybe in 2012, that passion wasn't there, because I'm not sure people had the knowledge of the fact that we were falling behind. But now I think that knowledge is there. And so you are now still active in the region's governance, I guess, for lack of a better term, with being on the RSA.
Maybe a little bit of maybe a better way to oversight or something like that. Because I'm not necessarily making policy, but I got involved in the RSA, which a lot of people don't know what that is, but it's the Regional Sports Authority, and they are actually the ones that started the lawsuit against the Rams and Stan Kroenke. And then the city and county, once they thought they had a chance to win, jumped on board and won the $790 million settlement, of which $512 was net after lawyers' fees. And let me just say this a bit. That was a deal's a deal. I mean, those guys took it on contingency. And, I didn't see anybody else jumping up and say, I'll bear the costs, and I'll take this on. So a deal's a deal on legal costs, and everybody can nitpick it afterwards, but that's what it was. And so
you're saying people that have a beef with the lawyers getting that big slice.
Right.
I agree, because if they don't do it, there's no money, period.
Right.
We'll take the $500 million and run with it. I've heard people that were working for Bob Blitz said, wait a minute, we're not getting paid. I got to do what? And they're like, we're still not getting paid, and that's part of the gig.
That's part of the gig.
But there were a lot of people that wanted to see that go to court.
Yeah, I hear you, but it could have gone to court, and it could have gotten tied up forever through appeals. And so, I think taking the bird in hand, and I wasn't involved in that decision. I got on the RSA after it was decided. But I think taking the bird in hand was a better way to go. It could have, we could still have appealing on that. And in the meantime, the combination of the money, I know from the RSA standpoint, is sitting in interest-bearing accounts, making about 4.5%, which you could say, well, hey, my stockbroker's getting 15. Well, that's great, but we're a public entity and we have to be safe about it.
Yeah. Dave Spence is in studio with us here on TMA. You're welcome to text in any thoughts or questions you may have for him. 314-399-9646. Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, Martin Kilcoyne, and Jackson Burkett with you here on 101 ESPN. I want to ask one thing in addition on the litigation. Cleveland was able to replace the Browns when they went to Baltimore and became the Ravens and dug in on that. Do you think that if St. Louis would have dug in, there is a chance we could have replicated that, because the NFL did not want to see that go to trial and dirty laundry come out?
That's a good question. I don't know. The Cleveland situation has been so convoluted between Baltimore, Cleveland, whatever, that whole chronology. I would
and you
say,
also factor in the Colts probably 15 years before the Browns entered.
Right. I think the fix was in with the NFL and Kroenke before the ink was dry on him buying out Georgia's kids. I mean, I think that was a fait accompli. And no matter what we did, they saw a solution with a guy with deep pockets that could solve their LA problem. And so we got run roughshod over. We got, smeared, painted. We made a valiant attempt to put together the Riverfront Stadium, which I think would have been outstanding. But I think that the NFL looked back and said, man, these guys are kind of putting up a fight, but this decision is made.
But isn't the fact the settlement money is still being fought over? I feel like we're proving the NFL's point that we can't get anything right, that St. Louis is kind of screwed up. I mean, I feel like it's furthering the point. It's not that simple, but it certainly doesn't. If I were the NFL, sure, they didn't like giving us the money, but they got to be laughing. Oh, they still don't even know what to do with it.
I think we're so in the rear mirror with the NFL. I think that. I think that this is the least of their daily concerns. But I would say I think they have a bigger problem with somebody like Justin Tucker and about 57 women saying he did something. But other than that, that's a different point.
Dave being a bitter NFL guy.
Yeah.
I like that.
Oh, no, I'm way bitter. Yeah.
But what about the money that we can't, the city specifically, we've had how many meetings, how many town halls, and now they're down there fighting at each other.
And they kicked it down until after the mayoral election.
Yeah, I think that was on purpose, if you want my honest opinion. But the RSA, I can only talk to what the RSA has done. We have, between saved funds for reinvestment back in the facility and the settlement, we have close to $90 million and getting about 4% change. And the city, I would say the negotiations or the mediation when we got down to the settlement was a tad irrational. Here we brought the lawsuit and we were treated like, kicked to the curb, like, who are you people and why did you deserve a nickel? And we kept going, why don't we put this into a public trust? Why don't we put all $512 million into a public trust? And people can apply and say, hey, the Dome needs $25 million, or, Boys and Girls Club needs this, or we've got this, whatever. And then people could apply and we could say, hey, you're applying for $5 million. You raise 2.5 and we'll match 2.5. So you could have taken this $512 million, getting interest, and doubled the impact. Because we're a very generous community. But it just, I think we were short-sighted. The city and the county wanted to have it go through the Board of Aldermen and the county council. And I think the court of public opinion would say nobody trusts those bodies. And I think they're proving their point by some of the headlines.
And in taking your RSA cap off, and by the way, those not watching, he's not wearing an RSA cap.
Yeah, he's not a cap on.
But just as a businessman, successful businessman, we talk a lot about downtown and downtown proper, not the West End, not around SLU where Cortex, things are happening. Do you think, as somebody who understands economics, do we have to save downtown? Is there a way we have to have a functioning, thriving downtown for St. Louis to exist, to thrive?
Yes, I do think that. I think it is a core of our city. People don't realize, but there's still a big population base on the east side, on the Illinois side. So I think it's the center of our community. I don't think we need to, at times people feel like we're chasing a falling knife. But in reference to that, I think the key to saving downtown is to have a 5-alarm fire on safety. I mean, I think that, there's just certain people. I have friends that don't want to go downtown anymore. I don't have an issue with it, but, there's certain people that won't go to a ball game or wouldn't think about going to the Arch if they had friends in town or whatever. And that's a problem, and so I really like and trust the new police chief. I think that the state takeover is intriguing. There's part of me that says that would be better. I've talked to the rank and file out there, and it's very cumbersome to deal with in the city politics. They just want to do their job. And so to me, it's all about safety downtown, and you make it safe, and people will come.
I agree with that completely. There's a lot of people that skew a little older that really are afraid to go down there now.
They are.
And much of the Cardinal fan base is older. And once the Cardinals dry up, what's left?
Yeah, well, I don't know. The Cardinals need to take a little bit of different direction, but I'm a lifetime Cardinal fan, lifetime Blues fan, Mizzou, everything. But, Cardinals, spending the money didn't work. Now they need to figure out how to get that fan base back enthused. Because I do think that there's, it brings a lot of money into this region for people traveling from Illinois, Tennessee, wherever, or all over the country who are lifetime Cardinal fans. And so part of the hotel motel tax, when people stay in the hotels and spend the money, comes back to our region in the form of compensation for upgrading the convention center, the dome. We don't see that much of it, but it does make a difference when people stay and it's all region wide, whether they stay in Clayton or Chesterfield or downtown.
Dave Spence is our guest. Is it all right if we ask you to stick around for one more segment? Is that
I
good?
gave him the chair.
Yeah, you gave him the chair.
Yeah,
I just don't want to just take your time all. But
It's a very comfortable chair, by the way.
Yeah, I think Andy Crouppen would have enjoyed it, but alas. Dave Spence, kind enough to be in studio with us here and talk it over. We'll read some of the listeners' questions, comments as well in the text inbox and our YouTube chat. I see that's very active up there on the screen. He is with the RSA, ran for governor, was the Republican nominee in 2012, getting perspective on the region, a hot topic anytime it comes up here on TMA. You are listening to 101 ESPN.
If you're looking for a new place to put your money, how about a credit union? Specifically, Together Credit Union. Started in the shadows of the brewery, the Anheuser-Busch employees got together, started their own credit union, and when you're a member there, you're also an owner of the credit union. Right now, Together Credit Union offering you a brand new high-yield checking account. It's called Empower Checking. And Empower Checking means you earn above market interest on the money that you keep in your day-to-day checking account. Interest paid each month, a checking account rewarding you for your balances, not for activity. To apply, pretty simple. Go online, togethercu.org, or stop by any of the 14 local St. Louis branches. Work directly with one of their amazing member advocates. Pretty simple. Get paid to save with Empower Checking, one of the new offerings from our friends at Together Credit Union. 14 area locations, online, togethercu.org/empower for full terms and details. Membership eligibility required. Together Credit Union, federally insured by the NCUA.
This is the morning after. It's 101 ESPN. The show is presented to you by Brown and Crouppen. We're in the Mark Hanna Evergreen Wealth Strategies 9 o'clock hour. Mark is online at evergreenstl.com, and you can call him at 314-889-0503. Mark Hanna Evergreen Wealth Strategies. Wonderful people, and especially for those of you in your 20s and 30s and you haven't gotten it done, make sure that you get a financial advisor. And Mark himself says, hey, if it's not me, that's fine. Just make sure you have someone and don't leave that to chance. 314-889-0503 or go online at evergreenstl.com. Mark Hanna, Evergreen Wealth Strategy, sponsor of our 9 o'clock hour here on 101 ESPN and the TMASTL YouTube channel. Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, Martin Kilcoyne, Jackson Burkett with you as Dave Spence is kind enough to be sitting in with us here on the program. And the listeners are enjoying getting your perspective, and a number of them have a variety of different suggestions or questions as to what to do with the money. I realize I would imagine that that's not something that you get to call the shot on, but you did play a role in being outspoken on at least getting it into that high yield savings. And with as far as the region goes, is there something that you go, this is what we can do and really get proper return on it?
I saw one of the comments up there. Everything you need is out in the county, but and that's great.
Oh no, he's reading the YouTube.
Yeah, it's like Oli Marmol last week in Jupiter. That's a harsh mistress in there. I'm just warning you, Dave.
Yeah, there's a different text line, and then there's the YouTube comment.
Now that they know that you're reading it.
Oh boy, look out!
Yeah, pay no attention to that YouTube channel up there. I don't know. I think that again, I don't think we'll ever get an NFL team, but I think that youth sports and regional sports is key. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's certain things, like if you look at the national, we paid a consultant to come in, and I'm not a big one on, hey, let's bring in somebody and pay a bunch of money and with no accountability. But we needed to know where, kind of where we stood with our peers as far as a dome, a convention center, things like that. One of the things they pointed out, which I thought was really interesting, is there's only like 2 in the Midwest national indoor track facilities, and it's not cheap, but that would bring a lot of people, and so you think about, okay, well, there's, areas we could put it. I'm not saying like put it right underneath the arch or something like that, but what would happen if we had a world-class track facility here that we could bring in people from all over the country in international meets and Olympic trials and things like that. I think also, you look at, I think we have enough stadiums, between, if you make a list of what we have, I think we're pretty well stocked, and you're not going to put in a $1 billion stadium for something that doesn't exist. So, we need to fix up the dome. We've got some basic needs. I mean, it's just like having a house that was built. When was that built? What,
95?
Nope, 95. But I think it was built before that, because that's the same situation. You don't want to spend $1 billion for something you don't have.
Yeah, so
they were put in a position where they were kind of, in a less leveraged spot, because the NFL knew that St. Louis had a building but no occupant.
Right, and then also things changed. They had Jerry Jones built his kingdom down there. Then Phoenix did theirs, and then all of a sudden, we weren't in the top quartile, and which was in the contract, and so they kind of use that and say, hey, you're not in the top quartile. That gives us a chance to look. And also, you could sit there and play Mr. Hindsight, which isn't fair to anybody, but there certainly could have handled that situation a little different.
You're talking about the top 25% clause?
Well, not only that, but I think some people in our region kind of stiff-arm the NFL and say they'll never leave. Well, they did. And I think that was the biggest wake-up call between the Rams leaving and Anheuser-Busch selling. I think those are 2 big wake-up calls to our region. And I think, the tide went out and we were swimming naked, as far as crime rates, growth rates, tax base rates. And so we've got to really kind of reinvent ourselves. And, people can sit out there and say, well, I don't have anything to do with downtown. Well, you do, because when you're trying to attract businesses and you're trying to, just have an overall great feeling about your region, it's not just, Chesterfield they're talking about. They're talking about the St. Louis region. And actually, if you brought in the crime rates in the city of St. Louis and blended them with the county, we're not as bad as as the headlines say. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it could be certainly different. I wish it were 0. but it wouldn't be as bad as the headline said it is.
What's it going to take to bring businesses back to the city, back to the downtown?
Well, I think COVID had a really big hangover effect. People got used to working out of their homes, and so these big buildings downtown or wherever, I mean, they're doing more with less. So I don't know, Doug. I don't know if I have an answer and say, hey, we need to do this, but I always get ticked off when you're chasing businesses you don't have, and you're not paying attention and listening to the businesses you do have. You already have that sale. You already have people who, businesses that are in our region. So quit making it so onerous to expand. Just all the codes, all the bureaucracy, get out of the way. And if you have a history of playing by the rules, then work with people. Make it, my gosh, when you want to do something in your house or your business or expand, or it's like pulling teeth, and it's just not right.
Mm-hmm. And Tim has said many times, and I think it's true, for downtown to sort of come back, you need people living there, and that's probably going to be younger people. I think the soccer helps. I think the people that love city are the kind of people, the demographic that are younger, that will want to live in that area because they love that soccer team. So it's sort of a vibe. That's just one small slice. But to attract younger people down there.
I agree with you. I don't think they're going to, 80-year-old grandma and grandpa are going to be living off Washington Avenue. But I do think
kind of fun if they did.
Well, they would. If they put a pineapple outside their room, and next thing you know, things are happening.
Wow. What's happening? What happened?
You are now full-time.
You want to be my governor.
Yeah. No,
we could become the swinging capital of America.
Oh, it's big. It's big. That Gatesworth, it's crazy. It's sorry if anybody's grandma or grandmother
is texting in now.
Anyway, just a little humor. No, I don't know. I think you're right, Martin. I think it is going to be younger people, so you need to have the amenities down there. I think the NGA going up north of downtown, some people didn't like that. That's a huge employer, and that's going to attract a lot of young techies coming here. Mm-hmm. And Washington Avenue in that area down there would be perfect. But they want safety. I mean, there's no, but they keep putting up apartment buildings and condos and selling every one of them. So there is something there.
Kind of just outside of the downtown perimeter.
Yeah.
They're kind of in that Top Golf, St. Louis U, Cortex. That seems to be where everything's booming apartment-wise.
Right. And also, around the Central West End with all the hospitals and everything else, that place is going crazy. More high-rises.
The one that's that unique-looking structure, they're going to put another one right next to it?
Yeah, they are. The Koppler family and another private equity group are going together and putting that, and it should be just as equally as outstanding. So I think those are all great. Again, the assets we have are the medical complexes, the universities, great companies, between Stiefel, Worldwide, Centene, et cetera, Those are the newer, but there's a ton of great companies and great multi-generational family companies that are extremely generous, that are extremely prosperous. And I would say the universal concern is, what's the ease of doing business? If you look at why companies are moving to Texas, well, it's just easier to do business there. And I think people who've never been in business think the more regulations, the better. Well, not really. People just want to, be left alone and do their business and thrive.
Yeah. So what are you expecting from this Millennium project where the Millennium Hotel was?
I just started reading about that yesterday. Maybe it just came out. Maybe it was the last person on earth to read about it. But
the news came out yesterday.
I mean, it looks very ambitious, and why would any of us root against it?
Right.
I mean, that same thing with the downtown south. The one in the south of the Arch with all those industrial.
Shoto Landing or whatever it is. I'm excited about that.
I mean, I'm all for it. Why wouldn't we? It's a great asset to our area. But I would say, though, that, again, I'm going to repeat myself, but my wife says I always do that. But it's just the way it is it's a 5-alarm fire on crime. We need to, to me, every neighborhood probably knows who's committing these crimes, right? But they're living in a very tough situation, and they're afraid to say anything. And so I think with Gabe Gore in the city as prosecutor, starting to get some of these people convicted off the streets and realize that there's consequences to your actions if you're thinking about doing something, I think is a big first step. I mean, a 100-mile journey starts with the first step. And I think getting Gabe Gore in there and new police chief and getting the rank and file police feeling good that what they're doing actually matters. Whereas before, under the previous prosecutor, it was a revolving door. You do all this effort, get somebody arrested, and they're out the door committing a crime the next day.
The Kim Gardner era of prosecution in the city was a death blow.
Yeah, that JUCO course did not work.
No. Maybe nursing will work out better for
Dave,
her.
you ever going to run again? County exec, governor, you done?
You know, I think I'm kind of done.
Because that pineapple comment will probably be brought back up.
Yeah, that'll be brought back up.
Gotcha.
Yeah. They made that
boom. Gotcha.
I would imagine that was probably pretty dispiriting, the process, I guess, in 2012.
Well, I don't know. We went in with the best of intentions, and we had zero name idea, and our whole family, my wife and I especially, and our team around us, we worked our tail off. We did 1,200 events, 168,000 miles. My wife, Susie, did 48,000 on her own with a team, and Missouri is a big state. I mean, it's 114 counties plus the city of St. Louis. I don't know why it's designated like that, but it is. And we have 33,000 miles of roads, one of the tops in the country. And it is, I mean, you get up near the Iowa border or the Arkansas border, I don't know if they know that World War II is over. I mean, it is literally that remote. But, you know, nice.
Word hasn't gotten to them
No, it
yet.
hasn't gotten to them. But they are the nicest people. But there's a big divide in our state between rural and metro. I mean, you know, rural thinks that metro wastes all the money and is crime-ridden, and I wouldn't want to go there. And we drive by hundreds of miles of row crops or cattle and say, how does that end up on our grocery shelves? Mm-hmm. And yet our ag business is phenomenal. I mean, it is off the charts. You know, here's a plug.
Didn't you drive the bus? Did you have a huge bus?
Yeah.
Where's the bus?
Oh, I couldn't get rid of that thing fast enough.
Well, let's just load it up and go down to Mizzou game.
Yeah, it always sounds good in theory until we went. My son and a friend who were driving me around towards the end of the campaign, they went under an underpass and knocked off the air conditioner unit right before we were about ready to turn it in. You know, it was like, oh, thanks for that.
Got to have a bus, Tim, if you're going to run. I know you were thinking about running first.
Absolutely.
Before you have
I'm very electable.
I didn't realize I had so many flaws in my skin until I was blown up to 10 feet on the side of an RV. It's like, wow, look at that.
This is before Photoshop.
Yeah, no kidding. We needed that.
Dave Spence with us here on TMA. Dave, thank you so much for coming in and giving your
Pleasure
thoughts.
being
The
here.
audience has enjoyed the conversation, certainly all kinds of texts.
And erase that pineapple moment.
That's standard on this program.
MIZ strong. Jackson's already said it's gone.
Yeah.
Deleted from the archives.
I'll tell you what. Okay, I'm going to brag on Mizzou one more time. They are legit. I was like 2 rows off the court. Not trying to brag, but I didn't realize how big and how much they bang on the court. I mean, these guys are going at it. It's like a heavyweight fight. It's like the Thrilla in Manila out there.
Yeah. That's what Jackson's a huge Missouri fan, as you can tell, Dave, with all the attire. And he said in 2012, when they were a 2-seed, the famous Norfolk State debacle, they just didn't have the size that this team has, in addition to having the skill. I mean, you saw Caleb
also
going off last night, and
they're
Mitchell.
tight, too. I mean, you know, the seniors, the fifth-year guys, the fifth-years are embracing the freshmen. And there's nobody that's, you could just see when there's chemistry or not chemistry, and these guys are tight. I think there is something to that.
This is the year.
I hope so. Also, we're deep. I mean, we've got to be, 12, 13 deep, something like that?
He's tightened the rotation a little bit, but yeah, he can play a lot of guys. That Mark Mitchell, he's a guard, and he's 6'8", and he can just back anybody down. If he wants
he was going at it. And Alabama had some of the biggest human beings I've ever seen. So do we, for that matter. But he was backing in and going and banging, and he was literally like the Kachucks out there.
Setting the stage for
my
tonight's
gosh.
You know how many people
festivities.
texted in earlier and said, I've been to Dave's house. You must have thrown some legendary parties, because when I said you were going to be on, everybody's like, I've been to his house, went to a party at his house, went to a party at his house.
Well, we did a lot of fundraisers, so we had a nice home, 10 acres, and we felt it was we were caretakers of an estate that you just don't have many 10-acre estates in St. Louis, and we were very blessed, work our tail off, and we were very honored, and we felt that it was our civic duty to give back, and so we offered to host a lot of fundraisers for a lot of people, and I think it made a difference. I like to think it did.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, a lot of people.
I don't remember getting invited, Tim. I never got on the bus.
No, you were on the no-fly list.
The no-fly list. Wow.
Dave Spence, our guest here on TMA. Dave, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks
for
a lot,
coming in.
guys. Thanks,
That's Dave Spence with us here. This is 101 ESPN. Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, Martin Kilcoyne, Jackson Burkett with you. This is TMA 101 ESPN and the YouTube channel. Doug, Rihanna, Hove, and Kanye.
This is whining.
What do you mean?
I wouldn't want to say that to Rihanna.
Sounds like she's whining.
You like when the percussion kicks in?
It's okay, I guess.
Doesn't seem like you're on board. Marquand Evergreen Wealth Strategy sponsor the 9 o'clock hour here on TMA 101 ESPN and the YouTube channel. Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, Martin Kilcoyne, Jackson Burkett with you on the program. Chairman Kurt ill. He's hoping to be back tomorrow. I am also battling, and I will be retiring to my chambers.
Me chambers.
I apologize. You're exactly right. Following today's presentation, and then getting ready for tonight at 7 o'clock, the United States and Canada's pregame here on 101 ESPN, 6 p.m. puck drop on 101 ESPN at 7 p.m. Martin, you've got things going on. What do you got going on?
March 15th. It's coming up quick. March 15th. That's Saturday, and we're going to be at the Frontenac Hilton. The event is raising money for our veterans, Marshall Faulk, Jackie Smith, a couple of Pro Football Hall of Famers, part of the event, the discussion, a lively football story, their journey, each telling it, but just really a fun night to raise money for our veterans. The folks in Perryville that have the Missouri's National Veterans Memorial really is something to see. I've been there several times. Jackie and Marshall have been ambassadors for the replica Vietnam Wall. It's an unbelievable tribute to our veterans. But once a year, we have a fundraising event in St. Louis, and that is March 15th at the Frontenac Hilton. If you could join us or your company would like to buy a table, it's real simple. Just call 573-517-5132. Willie McGee, Steve Carlton, 5132. 573-517-5132 for an evening with Marshall Faulk, Jackie Smith, football stories, but also raising money for our veterans.
Katie Wu of The Athletic has a podcast with Trevor Rosenthal, and she is a regular on BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. And she had, do you have the question included in this sound, Jackson?
I do not, because I'm not good.
Wow.
Oh, no.
Well, hold on. That wasn't what I was doing.
No.
I was either going to set it up, or if you didn't have the question.
I was just getting out in front
okay?
of.
Are you?
Oh, I was just getting out in front of what the audience was going to say.
But I mean, you've been putting up with that for 5 years. I thought you had a thing. And
No,
you got the Tigers beating Alabama. I mean, I would think you are a.
Oh, I'm floating.
Euphoric.
I'm floating.
All right,
You just had a lot on your plate this week. You've
with
been
the chairman
I'm not
being
upset.
No, you're not upset, but I think you've just been taxed a little bit more.
Hey, you know what you are? You're a champion, boy.
Thank you. I feel like a champion.
Yeah. Your Tigers about to cut down the nets.
Mustache is coming in nicely.
Yeah, look at that.
Thank you.
So she asked Oli Marmol, I'm paraphrasing here, but I saw this yesterday from her Twitter account. Essentially, what would you say to fans who are either apathetic or angry about the state of the team? And here is what he had to say.
Like when I think about St. Louis, when I think about what the norm is, the difference is this play on youth, right? Like it is going to be a youthful team. It'll lack some experience to the degree that we've seen in past years. That's different, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. And I think what's going to be important, filling up that stadium, regardless of what's going on, so that these young players know what it feels like to play in St. Louis. So they understand what it feels like to play in front of like Cardinal Nation, right? So if I'm a Burleson, if I'm a Mason Wynn, if I'm a Jordan Walker, if I'm a Herrera, like you go down that list of young guys, like I want them to feel, my first time experiencing it was in 2011. They flew Amber and I, prior to having kids, to the World Series, and we sat in the stands, and it was incredible. I mean, it's a drug. Like you literally sit there in the stands. I remember looking around, and this place was going wild, towels, I mean, it was just nuts. And I remember looking at my wife like, this is all I want. Like this is what it's about right here. Like I want to do this. And it makes you strive for that exact thing.
So he wants the crowd there, no matter how the team is playing. I appreciate the sentiment. I don't know if that will necessarily take place.
It's a tough ask.
Right.
But if that youthful energy leads to some early success, then maybe you get
some
people,
buzz.
Yeah, maybe people buying in. If Jordan Walker's on fire for the first 2 weeks, if Wynn's making goal plays and stealing bases, then what he's saying would have some traction. I think right now there's a lot of skepticism, even that they've made this huge youth movement, because it's still largely the same team. You did lop off a couple of veteran pitchers that were older. Goldschmidt was older, but lop off maybe a little too harsh. Maybe
I like the term.
A little too visual
nice
there.
predicate.
But you're largely the same, although the runway is going to be greater for these young guys, except Arenado's at third and Gorman's not. So that runway was stopped while being built, maybe.
Might be important for them to have a good spring training, too. Just to get people kind of revved up a little bit, not to give them a reason to say, see, you had a horrible spring, you're going to be terrible. Obviously, the games don't count. But I think they're going to want to make a kind of a strong push to have a nice spring.
It'd be great if one of the young guys goes off, to get people buzzing.
Like spring. Walker hits 8 bombs in Jupiter just for fun. It doesn't mean anything. But for the hype, you're saying.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful.
What an effing joke. Go down to the stadium, no matter how bad they are, forget about it. This ownership must go. That is from the 618. From Mahomes' long body, that might be one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. From the 407, Marmol doesn't get it. It's like listening to a clueless child. So, Doug, the listeners are not on board with it.
They don't like optimism.
That's what they just heard.
That didn't take hold, did it? Gosh,
wow.
It's a tough room.
Not like optimism of any sort.
Oh. It only lasted about a minute. I did hear Arenado say the other day he plans on playing a lot of games this spring. Because, those guys usually get an inning or two and then they bolt. Mm-hmm. I don't know what that's going to look like, but he indicated he wanted to play a lot more in the spring.
Yeah, I think guys will play hard this spring because, as I said earlier, there's a lot of jobs open right now. And so you want to show that you deserve one of those when the season starts.
Email in for our design, air, heating, and cooling email today. Coming your way on the Stiefel dossier at 10:50. Buck Swope is your leader, but the JV golf coach is right there, and it's a wonderful competition. Plus, you got the YouTube chat, who is certainly the representative of the YouTube chat. Unfortunately, a guy named Jose, whose avatar in the YouTube chat is Frank Haith, says Vladimir Burkett and Kim Jong in O-Town have their fingers on the email of the day scale. Those are serious charges.
Well, I won't hear any of it.
You won't even pay it any mind.
You have to speak to my lawyer.
Oh, wow. He's retained counsel now. Everybody's retaining
That's
counsel.
someone at Brown and Crouppen, I'm sure.
Yeah. And you'll talk with them, and tomorrow you'll be apologizing.
So I guess Jackson probably called 314-222-2222, or he went online at brownandcrouppen.com, and he had a choice, I'm sure, of a variety of attorneys. But he said, you know what? With Andy Crouppen looking as good as he does with that lid, with Terry Crouppen, with Ed Herman, I think that's who I'm going to go with to go after a guy named Jose in the YouTube
He won't know
chat.
what hit him.
He's at the buggy whip.
Yeah, and they've been local in St. Louis, and they founded the business here in 1979. They've been the presenting sponsor of this program going back to 2023, and we are grateful to have them. They are online at brownandcrouppen.com. If you need their services and you're in a spot with a personal injury situation, wouldn't you want to make sure you have somebody local who knows the market, especially in the St. Louis metropolitan area? Yeah, there you go. 314-222-2222. We're going live at brownandcrouppen.com. Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, Martin Kilcoyne, Jackson Burkett with you on the program. You can go back and listen via the 101 ESPN app or TMA STL app to Robert Thomas. Dave Spence has been with us as well on the program in studio, and you can go back and podcast anytime you would like and enjoy it. Robert Thomas certainly excited about tonight's festivities. This should be one all-time moment. Now, we do have a little situation going back and forth. Matthew Tkachuk, Doug, and Brandon Hagel have been exchanging barbs in the group chat. What do we got going on here, Jackson?
I saw this earlier, so I wanted to bring it up. I couldn't find audio of Mr. Hagel, Brandon Hagel, that is. But there apparently was some beef between the two of them because Hagel didn't like the idea of the group chats. Hagel told reporters Wednesday, we don't have any group chats going on, not so subtly calling out Team USA after Tkachuk and his brother Brady and JT Miller revealed they created a group chat to plan the 3 fights. I think we understand we're out there playing for the flag, not the cameras.
Wow.
And so Brady
Tkachuk
had a little...
Is this Brady or is this Matthew?
I meant to say Matthew. Sorry, Walter.
Okay.
Brandon Hagel sat up here. He said, Canada plays for the flag.
can't hear it.
He said they don't need group chats.
You probably edit that part out.
I mean, maybe their team doesn't like each other then if they don't have group chats. But, I think that that's just a player, and enjoying his opportunities. So I think that our team does not care about anything that they say. And there's been a lot of chatter and talk from individuals. But, we care about one thing in this room, and we have millions of people that are watching us and supporting us around this country, and we're very prideful in playing for them and the guys in the room. So it's an opportunity of a lifetime for us.
There you go.
Okay.
Doug, do you have any problem with the edits?
I didn't.
I can barely hear it at the start.
I pulled it off Twitter. I didn't pull it this morning, so I couldn't edit it.
Doug, are you going to fight Jackson?
No, not with the legal team he's put together.
Yeah, that is true.
No, it's a big throw your boys under the bus kind of day, I guess.
Oh, no. Unbelievable. All right, coming up on the other side of the break, Tiger Woods is at the White House for an important meeting. This isn't just like a ceremonial thing. I'll tell you why on the other side of the break. Ladies and gentlemen, the program is The Morning After. It's presented to you by Brown and Crouppen here on 101 ESPN and the TMASTL YouTube channel. Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage gives out his personal cell phone number, and that is about as accessible as you can possibly get from an owner and an advertiser here on the program. That number is 314-324-4440, 314-324-4440, or you can Google the Bagel Loan. Everyone knows him as Stewie, and he has Stewart's American Mortgage. When you think of Stewie, you should automatically think about service, because that's what he's best at. The mortgage industry continues to fluctuate, but if you want questions answered, you can go directly to him by calling his personal cell phone, 314-324-4440. Whether you're looking to buy a home, refinance, or sell, work with Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage. He'll be able to fill you in on the Bagel Loan, which is all about no fees and no closing costs. Plus, he can get you closed in 10 to 15 days. Call him on his personal cell phone, 314-324-4440, or you can Google the Bagel Loan. It's Stewie with Stewart's American Mortgage.
This is Action Jackson with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Hornets defeat the Lakers last night 100-97. LaMelo Ball with 27 points. LeBron James 26, 7, and 11. That was another Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
What's happening?
That damn Kachuk
Were you
was
up
still
all
playing.
night? Were you just up all night?
I was up very
partying?
late. Yeah.
Were you really?
I had too much energy after the game.
Oh, is that right?
You couldn't go right to bed?
No, I was wide awake.
Was your lover over?
Mm-mm. Just me.
Where was he?
First Dave Spence with the pineapple, then Doug with a...
Yeah, how am I going to explain all this to my kids?
You
It's
can't be done.
101 ESPN. I deep teased this. PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan and Tiger Woods and Adam Scott are meeting with officials as we speak at the White House. And what the tour hopes is another step in reunifying men's professional golf. Sources have told ESPN. This just posted here within the last hour. Monahan and Scott met with President Trump on February 4th in an effort to speed up the federal government's approval of the tour's proposed deal with Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, which plans to inject $1.5 billion into the tour's for-profit entity, PGA Tour Enterprises. It was not clear immediately if Trump or PIF Governor Yasser Al-Rumayyan were attending Thursday's meetings in Washington. The tour, the DP World Tour, and the PIF announced they had reached a framework to form an alliance nearly 2 years ago on June 6th. That deal expired at the end of 23, but the sides continued to negotiate a potential deal over the past 2 years. So that is going on right now, and I saw Rory McIlroy last week talking about it, and he certainly sounds like he thinks something is going to happen very quickly. Adam Scott, I know, thinks something is going to happen very quickly as well, as this will all be coming to a head, I think, probably within the next month. That's my guess.
Yeah.
I like the fact they're at the White House, but it's not clear if Trump is there. He's just like loaning them a room. Hey, you guys want to meet up? I can't make it.
But double tree.
Yeah, go on down back. There's a couple of conference rooms available.
If I had to predict, I would think it will get done quickly, and there'll be a new tournament to be announced at Doral or Trump National.
Yeah.
There in, where is it, Jupiter? I think it's Jupiter.
He has one in West Palm. He has one in Jupiter. And then Doral. You played Doral, right? The Blue Monster?
Yes.
Miami? Yeah, Miami.
Yeah. Well, I think it'd be good for the golf fans. It's been, even seeing these guys snipe a little bit, while it's good content for, what did Matthew Kachuk say, is chatter? It's good chatter. It's not much fun for the viewer if all the biggest names are over on the CW, and you're like, well, where's so-and-so? All those guys, too, that just got obliterated with critique, probably in the end pocketed a ton of money, and then it's like, oh, well, never mind. You're back on the tour. Everything's fine.
Yeah. They're going to come out looking
well, that's
like
what
the
I'm
smart
saying.
ones.
Yeah, in the end, the Kepkas of the world are like, well, I know I took a hit there, but I got a huge check, and now I'm back on the tour.
Right. Well, if you're weighing your options 2 or 3 years ago, but if I should go to live or stay with the PGA Tour, it's like I'm going to get this generational money that'll take care of my kids and their kids and their kids, and there's still a possibility that these two reunite.
Oh, yeah.
Or unite, and I'll be right back to where I was.
It's hard to blame anybody for going.
Sure.
I thought that the PGA Tour knew that they were doomed, and I truly, I mean, again, I suppose some people probably just go, okay, you got to do whatever you got to do, but to weaponize the families of the 9/11 victims to then portray those who are going to work with Live Golf. And then less than a year later, Jay Monahan is on CNBC with Yasser Al-Rumayyan. I just thought that was gross. I also thought it was weak. I thought it was a lack of leadership, a lack of foresight. He didn't take the meeting initially, and then you're going to weaponize one of the most, I mean, God, is there a more exposed wound in recent American history than September 11th? And that's what you're going to utilize? I just thought that was a gross thing. And I think a number of guys who play on the tour thought it was pretty brutal as well, and they should have never been in this spot. They should have been working with them as opposed to demonizing them when plenty of businesses, both in the United States and globally, work with Saudi Arabia, and that was your only defense mechanism. That was weak, and I think it was gross to use those families. And then a year later, you're sitting down with the guy that you tied to September 11th. I don't know. That's where I came in on it. So
I think it's similar to city, county, region that we were just talking about. It's still about leadership. You're only as good, like all those guys on the tour. They're not the commissioner. One guy is. You're not the mayor or the county exec or whatever it is. It stinks when you're part of something and you don't really have a way to change the way they go about their business. So, yeah, I think there was some really bad optics there. But there's definitely some bad blood. I think Rory's walked it back kind of lately, hasn't he?
Oh, in a major way, where he's gone from where it was starting to where he is now. Yeah. But I think so there are a number of guys who aren't in Rory McIlroy's position that are going, well, yeah, you're fine with it, but we lost spots and we could have gone to Live Golf, but we would have been called traitors, working with terrorists, and we're guys that are they're not in a spot that Rory McIlroy is. There's only a handful who are, and then they're not eligible to play in these signature events that are no-cut events and not exactly the most titillating television either. So that is what is going on in Washington, D.C. this morning. Tiger Woods, Adam Scott, PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan at the White House per ESPN. And the thought processes that President Trump continues to be involved in working on this PGA Tour and Live deal.
I'm sure there are people who are saying, wait a minute, with everything that's going on in the world right now, the people at the White House are worried about golf making these multimillionaires happy?
I would say it's a pretty major moment in American sports, which is huge business. So I think.
What is it, White House business?
I would think talk antitrust, which they're kind of looking into with PIF. Yeah, I think there's.
How did the PGA get so upside down? I mean, I've heard people say that they have just a layer and layer of people making like $500,000 that are all part of the PGA operation, that their expenses are so high. And remember, the beef was that they weren't paying out big purses. So where was the loss? Just poor attendance, poor TV dollars? Where were they so sideways?
I think in part it can be, and again, I want to emphasize, in part, you can go, okay, you had this person who put the game on the map for a portion of the population that had zero interest, truly zero interest before 1997. And he had his rise, but then over the last handful of years, in between his off-the-course issues, and up until really his resurgence took place in 2018, and one of the biggest moments was right here in St. Louis, and then winning the Masters in 2019. But then after that, you got a bunch of young guys. But, the rise was boosted by one person. And when that person aged and had issues and injuries, then they didn't have anything really to fall back on. There are some young Americans with personalities and some international players who are big-time stars. But you can't replicate the Tiger Woods thing.
So you think attendance dropped, TV dollars dropped? That's why I'm trying to look at their math. I wonder where it fell off so bad.
And then you had somebody like Phil Mickelson, who was Tiger Woods' foil, pointing this out, and the initial thing was, and I'd love to know, I from the get-go, I've said this so many damn times, I don't think I've said it since TMA's been on 101, he was adamant that interview that led to him just having to go into hiding was off the record. And then that was used against him in a book, and he was persona non grata, not welcome at Augusta, where he had won 2 different times. And I think many would say, well, you know what? Phil Mickelson was right. If it weren't for Live, all these tour purses wouldn't be as big as they are. TGL, the thing on ESPN, would not exist. And Phil Mickelson's whole point was they are not running this organization properly. And now, because of Liv's existence, they're going to get a lot of the things that it is that they wanted. And now Live and the PIF, Saudi Arabia, this thing has lost $5 billion. This has not been a successful venture. In the golf/sports, if that's how you're viewing it through the lens of that or business, who's tuning into that? It gets nothing when it comes to numbers. However, I do not believe Saudi Arabia's interest was to create a golf product. They wanted a seat at the table, and if the price was $5 billion, then they are more than happy to pay it in the form of a golf league that most people are not paying attention to. But the cost was, we're going to go take some of your best players, and there's not a damn thing you can do. And that's what's happened. And that's why there is this meeting at the White House this morning. Your thoughts are welcome, 314-399-9646. Martin, I know you have onboarding to go tend to. Doug and I will hang out here with Jackson Burkett, who is on a high. He's experiencing euphoria.
Mm-hmm. Feeling great.
And we will be, I hope, I'm gonna grind through whatever the hell it is that I'm dealing with to come in for tomorrow's U.S.-Canada recap program. I know Matt Seebeck of City is going to be in studio tomorrow.
Joey Vitale.
I can't wait to hear what he has to say tomorrow.
Talking about the U.S. victory.
Right.
And then Gabe DeArmond at 10:15 talking about last night, the fire, and Arkansas on Saturday.
There you go.
Big program tomorrow.
There you go.
You think Mizzou is scorching hot?
I was thinking about tweeting like Caleb Grill is still in the building when it was on fire, but
resist the urge.
But I didn't know if
Safety
people were
concerns.
unsafe. I didn't.
So out of an abundance of caution, you did not.
Yeah,
Did
AFC.
not tweet that.
You don't tweet that often, do you?
Only with Mizzou
Last
basketball.
night you were tweeting.
Yeah,
Oh,
only with,
really?
Yeah, only with Mizzou basketball and football.
Well, I forget. I think I liked it or tagged it or something. What
Probably.
were you?
I said Missouri Tigers, undeniable.
We had our own Twitter and our little group chat.
Yeah,
and
it was
some
nice.
of my other compadres in the group chat.
You think Hagel doesn't like us having a group chat before the show?
I think he probably does.
Let's stick it to these Canadians tonight.
Yes, there we
There
go.
you go. Look at this guy.
When I walked in at about 6:45, he was running down the hall. I thought you were doing laps.
High
you
knees,
running.
high knees,
What's going on
karaoke.
You were. You were sprinting down the
Yeah,
hall.
well, just getting loose, calisthenics.
Getting loose, calisthenics. I'll tell you what, if your furnace gets loose, you got to call Design Air. We've been telling you this for a long time. It's pretty simple. File it away, even in your memory bank. When the furnace or in the summer, the air conditioning is not working properly, it's designairservice.com. That's the website you go to for a fourth-generation St. Louis business. They've been doing it right for a long time. They've also been a longtime TMA sponsor, the Design Air email of the day. So the simple thing to do, if the furnace is not functioning properly, and that's a lot of times you get the thermostat, you put it at like 72, but it shows your house is at like 65. That means it's not working properly. You need Design Air. DesignAirService.com. Get online, set up the appointment. The technicians are trained to do that. Just come in and get the great service work done. Not there to upsell you. It's one of the reasons they've been around since 1904. DesignAirService.com for all your HVAC needs.
Ladies and gentlemen, the program is The Morning After. Design Air Heating and Cooling email today coming your way at 10:50 on the Stiefel dossier. This is TMA, presented to you by Brian Crouppen on 101 ESPN and the TMA STL YouTube channel. This is going to give you some perspective. Well, they were playing this in the Crimson Tide locker room last night, Doug.
Were they really?
Yep. Boof.
They were
from
so
Teen
upset.
Wolf. Nate Oates.
That's back-to-back losses for the Crimson Tide.
I was actually very impressed with Alabama.
Oh, how could you not be?
Because Mizzou just came out on fire in the building. They could, a lesser team would have lost that game by 40 points last night.
And kind of given up.
Yeah.
That I agree with you. I mean, that was, Gabe DeArmond wrote it on Power Mizzou this morning. I mean, that was, he said this was like watching a Final Four game. Yeah. If there's a better game in college basketball this year, I didn't see it. There really is something to when you have a home crowd that was as fired up as they were, a big-time opponent, and you come out like that. It's exactly what happened the night before. I realized Kansas, at the moment, does not look like any of recent Bill Self Kansas teams. But BYU came out on fire in a similar way to Missouri, and Bill Self called the timeout in the first couple minutes. Nate Oates had to do the same thing. And the fact that Alabama got that thing down to a 6-point deficit with like 50-some-odd seconds left is really a tribute to that team. And on the other side of things, how well Missouri played is driven home by the fact that Alabama at half was down by 13, shooting 50% from three and 61% from the field, and yet they were down by 13. And had Missouri hit even 75% of their free throws, much less where they were at the time, that lead, of course, is even bigger. Right. So I wouldn't be surprised to see those two teams play again. And it's something else. For whatever reason, it's different. For me, Jackson, the game was the Mississippi State game.
That was a big proof of concept game.
And I realized Mississippi State, wasn't in the Final Four like Alabama was last year, wasn't playing in that 1-2 Iron Bowl basketball game that we saw on Saturday against Auburn. They're not a brand. I understand that they've fallen off recently, although they're coming off who they beat A&M,
Texas
right?
A&M.
But they were on their way out of the top 25. But I think Missouri, they were 12th, and Missouri just went down there and beat the hell out of them.
Smoked them.
I don't know. I mean, I realize it's the tournament. It's not a best of 7, so truly anything can happen. I just look at this, and I've seen, growing up in the 1980s, and part of the 90s, and going on the road with the team in the NCAA tournament a few of the years. Was there in 2009 in Glendale when they went to the Elite Eight, beat Memphis, a great Memphis team that many thought should have been a 1 seed, wound up losing to the 1 seed, UConn. It just feels different, and I don't think I've said that in all the years of this show. And again, it's tough to say that because, of course, they can lose, and everybody but one team is going to lose. And we've seen some brutal losses, Norfolk State certainly being one, but, predating that. I mean, Doug, you lived through northern Iowa. I think there was Rhode Island, Xavier. I mean, there's been some first-round exits. If anything, that's what Norm Stewart, unfortunately, got famous for, having these great regular season teams.
Didn't Northern Illinois get them 1 year, too?
Northern Iowa. I don't know.
Northern Iowa, that's right. With a bomb at the end.
Yes. So with that all established, this is just different. And it's also, it's different than, say, whoever you would pick. I get like Auburn, I know, had a lot of hype coming into the year, and they've certainly lived up to it. But for, I think, Missouri fans, I mean, the week of the Kansas game, if I'm not mistaken, is when they played Cal. It was relatively
right before. And
at halftime, and again, it's a message board for college fans, and it's not limited to Missouri fans. Any message board for college fans where they're paying, these are the hardest of hardcore, and therefore the emotions are highs of highs and lows of lows. But people are like, this is the end of Dennis Gates. They were down at half to Cal. This is the end of Dennis Gates. This is it. And now, here we are, less than 3 months later. He'll be in the conversation for Coach of the Year, and he should be. And on top of it, the way they're playing, it isn't a case of, okay, stop this guy and then you stop them. That's not it. it's take your guess on who it's going to be that particular night. I just haven't seen anything like it. We were going through that 88-89 team that is the last Missouri team to beat 3 top 5s. And keep in mind, one of Missouri's top 5s is Kansas, and they were number 1 at the time. But as the season plays out, that Kansas team is not looking like a top 5 team or anything remotely close to it. But Florida in Gainesville, and now Alabama, a team that could very well be a number 1 seed when it's all said and done. And the manner with which they have done it and the depth of the team, this is just a different operation. Yeah. And I don't know. I cannot wait to watch them play. Yeah. I can't, whether it be some of these nondescript regular season games that are left against South Carolina. Vanderbilt can get you. Don't get me wrong. Vanderbilt can get you. Or Oklahoma. Certainly Saturday night at Bud Walton in Fayetteville will be a test, and then they have Kentucky to wrap up the regular season in Columbia, Missouri. And then the SEC tournament, you never know how you want to handle that, and you can get a double bye in that thing if you can get one of the top 4 seeds. But then you get down to business, and it'll just be a lot different. From my standpoint, I think it'll be the first time probably since 2012 I cannot wait to see what they can do.
Yeah, it's not a team that's like stumbling in. It's a team that's like
right.
running
They beat
through.
Utah State 2 years ago. I mean, hey, God bless. It's wonderful because they hadn't beaten anybody. But, that team wasn't going to do anything. This is a different deal.
Yeah, that first year, Dennis Gates, that you're kind of Frankensteining a team when you're coming over and bringing a lot of Cleveland State guys. This time, it's his guys that he brought in from the portal. Like Mark Mitchell was a 2-year starter at Duke, and last night you saw why he has so much value. Like when you can just bully guys down low, be so effective with the ball. It's really, really awesome. And like I said, super well-rounded. Like Tim was talking about it. You don't know who's going to get it for you that night. It might be 5 or 6 guys scoring 14 points, and no one has to be some guy getting 30 points. It doesn't have to be like that. It's whoever's open is going to shoot it, and they're probably going to knock it down.
And when they want to, they can play really aggressive in-your-face defense.
They loved making turnovers.
Yeah, you wouldn't think it last night having given up 98 points, but some of that was because Alabama was just shooting incredibly.
Lights out.
They must have hit 4 or 5 3-pointers from that corner in the first half.
Yeah.
Every time you thought, oh, good, I'm glad he's taking that shot, and they'd make it.
It was a prize fight last night. As soon as Alabama would make a little run, Missouri would make a run back. They dropped it down to 6 with about 10 minutes to go. Missouri went on a 9-0 run. Like it was, and if you were just a casual fan with no rooting interest, that was probably an awesome basketball game to watch.
Yes, I mean, that was what they were saying on the SEC network. They're like, holy crap, what did we just see? It reminded me of after Freeze's home run, there's this long pause. Joe Buck and Tim McCarver, they don't say a thing. And I think McCarver said something like, what did we just see?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Lakers and Hornets didn't even score as many as Alabama, Missouri, and they get 8 extra minutes.
And a lot of it comes down to the shots are going in.
Sure.
When you run up and down the court and you're making all the 3-pointers, it's like, wow, these guys are good.
Yeah.
And the next night, when you don't make the 3-pointers, you go, what, is that the only offense you got?
Right. And the only, like the Texas game is one that, you look at Texas, they just played lockdown man-to-man defense. And the best deterrent, the best way to win basketball is play lockdown man-to-man defense. Like, that's just really tough to game plan against when they're locking guys down. Bama, on the other hand, they don't prioritize that. They prioritize scoring. Luckily, Missouri, when you score 12 out of the gate, it's like, all right, we're going to be in a shootout, and I can't wait.
Well, if we can just get hot, we can win this whole baby.
Oh, my goodness.
How about that?
I don't.
If we can just
Missouri
stay
against Duke
hot.
for the national championship, Cooper Flag?
That would be... that'd be so good. That would be so awesome.
They would have beaten almost everybody in the country last night, I think.
Duke and Auburn, I think, are in a little bit different category. I think just a little bit different. But any given night, you never know. Neutral floor, NCAA tournament, total crapshoot. But Auburn's just unbelievable. Same with Duke. Cooper Flag, who's 18 years old, going to be probably Naismith Player of the Year and the #1 overall pick. He's different, too.
Put a hand in his face.
He's like
short, choppy
6'10".
steps.
He's like 6'10".
How are you going to handle the NCAA tournament? Are you going to do a live stream? I don't know if you should.
I will.
I mean, I want you to, but this is a moment where, Doug, would I be fatherly or big brotherly with Jackson?
Probably more big brotherly.
Okay. It's like right when you were handed that yellow diaper in the Caribbean Sea, and I wanted to say something, but then part of me is like, this is going to be entertaining. But at some point, I'm going to need to pull him aside, say, hey, you don't need to say yes to everything.
Oh, sure.
This is one of those moments, but for my entertainment, I hope you do it.
I haven't live streamed in going on 2 years now, so I feel like it's so special. And people, I'm sure they'll like it. I'll just be hanging out.
A lot of Schadenfreude.
Sure.
ILLB Schadenfreude.
Yeah, they got their own problems to worry about.
The odds are stacked way against you.
It doesn't matter who you are.
Almost inevitably, you're going to end in heartbreak.
You're one of 68. The odds are, unless you're Auburn, I guess, who's plus 290 to win it all. That's insanity. But yeah, that's and people they mention so often the turnaround for Dennis Gates going winless last year, and now look at them. And I absolutely credit Dennis Gates on that. But also, it's kind of just the nature of college basketball and college athletics in general now. You can totally turn things around and vice versa in the matter of a year.
That was pretty drastic. You wonder now, watching, how did he ever not win a single game?
I told you yesterday, John Tonji and Caleb Grill. John Tonji is averaging 28 or 26 a game right now for Wisconsin. Is probably going to be a first-team All-American. He was hurt all year last year. Caleb Grill only played 9 games with a broken wrist.
But
there's the difference.
You had nobody else to win one?
That's combined 35 points a night right there. They weren't losing by 35.
No, but you had other people scoring to
if they had
cut
those
into
two,
that 35.
If they had those two playing like they were this year, just Tonji and Grill like this year, they're probably 500 in the conference. Maybe a little worse.
No, I'm just saying you can't win one without those two.
We've moved on. We just beat Alabama number
4. Oh.
Email in the morning after at InsideSTL.com for the Design, Air, Heating, and Cooling email today. Missouri Valley Conference men's basketball tournament tickets. The prize today, 101 ESPN, with your shot to score a pair of single-session tickets for the 2025 State Farm Missouri Valley Conference men's basketball tournament. Text in or email in. For the Design, Air, Heating, and Cooling email today. Coming up at 10:50. This is TMA, presented by Brown and Crouppen on 101 ESPN. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the morning after 101 ESPN. Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, Jackson Burkett with you on the program. Chairman Kurt is ill. Martin Kilcoyne is onboarding. The Stiefel dossier has the Design Air Heating and Cooling email today coming up in about 20 minutes on the program. Doug, if you wanted to go to the United States and Canada tonight, it would cost you a minimum of $1,100 just to get into the building.
And that's upper deck at the
That's at the upper deck. If you want to be in the lower bowl, you were looking at a minimum price per StubHub of $2,200.
Wow.
Just to get yelled at by some Boston tough guy. They're
Probably
not
so, yeah.
rooting hard, they're not booing
Why do
hard
you hate
enough.
the Irish?
I don't hate the Irish. I love The Departed. But I don't want to get yelled at if I pay $1,100.
Yeah, that's pretty steep. Well, Boston's a big town, a lot of money there. They'll fill it. No problem.
Perfect place to play a game like this tonight.
I would think so. Yeah.
Guys, does the crowd at Saturday's Blues game give Hellebuck a standing ovation if the USA wins tonight? It's from the 314.
That's a good question.
Huh.
I'd say yes.
Ovation, probably. Standing, I don't know. Unless he's the superstar of it all.
Yeah, like if he stands on his head tonight, spits wood and nickels.
Stacks the pillows, uses the waffle board correctly.
Nice. I like that.
Crab-handed ribbon snatcher? Rivet? Like a frog?
Rivet snatcher.
Oh, rivet.
Yeah.
I'm still learning. I'm onboarding with hockey.
Crab-handed rivet snatcher. Yeah.
God,
that would be the glove catching a hot puck.
I get that.
I can't wait.
I don't know.
I'm not. Listen, I'm talking to my sons right now, both of whom are in school. We're not jacking around tonight, boys.
No, not tonight.
All right.
No.
We're not playing on our computer. We're not checking my heartbeat, although today might not be a bad day to have an examination. The 3-year-old has been doing that, and we're locked in on the game at 7:00, and we're not going to be jacking around, boys. We're going to have the showers taken care of before 7:00. We're going to sit there and we're going to listen to Sean McDonough bring it home, and we're going to watch this game and appreciate this moment.
Okay.
All right? Are we all clear?
Okay.
Are we all clear? I don't know. No.
They'll be clear until the game starts, and then something will come up. I'm hungry. I need ice cream.
Ice cream.
I like ice cream. What if there is a request for shinny hockey in between periods?
You know what? Last night, as this illness set in. My older son said, "Hey, can we play shinny before I take my shower?" And I don't know if I've ever declined shinny.
Oh, no.
And I said, "Buddy,
Yeah.
I can't do it."
It's a tough moment.
It was. I hated it.
Yeah.
I hated it because I love to beat his ass. But I said, I can't move. I cannot move.
Yeah, so you'll referee some sort of shinny hockey.
The 3-year-old isn't at a point just yet.
Yeah, well.
To compete with his brother. But we're not going to have shinny either. We're watching the game. Stop the jacking around.
Oh.
So United States and Canada. We're watching a game.
What if the game is lopsided?
No, we had to do the lopsided thing. Yeah, I get it.
Then can they play some shinny?
He's sick already, and you're going to take that kind of shot at him?
The game, not your head, the game.
But you knew what he was talking about.
If the U.S. gets up 4-0 after a period and a half, may they play shinny at that point?
No, because what, do you not believe in a comeback? You don't believe in miracles? Did 1980 teach you nothing? I don't know if they came back in the game or not.
Well, not from 4-0, they didn't.
Okay.
How about the fact that they have been using miracle as kind of like the theme? They had Dream On playing.
Yeah, I saw that.
Beat Canada in the room. So Brady Kachuk with that going on.
Freebird is kind of the goal song.
Freebird. Mm-hmm. What's Canada's goal song?
Is George Michael from Canada?
Oh, dear.
Is he?
I don't know.
No.
He's not?
I don't know.
You really?
Probably something by Rush then. I don't know.
Where did you get the George Michael from Canada thing?
I don't know.
I thought Burger King was from England, so clearly anything's on the table. Rush is a Canadian band. Maybe some Drake, Justin Bieber, all Canadian artists. The Weeknd.
Doug Drake's kind of gone into hiding here over the last.
He's touring in Australia right now.
Well,
yeah.
Because he was so hurt by the diss track laid out against him.
Nice. It kind of laid him out.
Oh,
as much as you can lay out a guy who's probably got $500 million. Either way, is Wham? Where's Wham from?
Same place that George Michael would be from. I can't believe I'm doing this.
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
Oh, he is
It was a George Michael vehicle.
Andrew Ridgely. Why are we talking about this, though? Does anybody know?
Because you wanted to know what the Canadian goal song was
And
going to
so
be.
for some reason you thought it was father figure?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Where are people at on Wham these days?
What is going on?
I'm trying to figure things
Snort
out.
another rail of Adderall.
I'll go. They'll probably play some by Rush.
They had some good tunes.
Sure. I like the Canadian songs. I like a lot of Canadian artists.
But they've already played, so what did they play when they scored on Saturday night?
Here, I'm going to find out.
Oh, heavens, I don't know.
Canada hockey goal song. What do you got?
Could have done this before we had the Wham discussion.
Giddy Up by Shania Twain.
Oh, is that right?
Well, that was for the 2023 World Championship.
And this, of course, being 2025, that makes it immaterial.
Oh, well, I'm just trying to... Opus, Live is Life? Live is Life?
Guys, does George Michael own Burger King? Thanks. That's in the Pensacola Porpoise.
Might not be a bad idea. It's an Austrian rock band? Why are they playing an Austrian song? That makes no sense. Oh, I probably should have had this information before the program.
No, I think what you do is you just fill with some thoughts on Wham.
I don't know. Yeah, wake me up before you go. That would be a perfect song.
I don't know. For after you score a goal,
yeah, it'll get the people going. It's not Freebird.
You
but
want something a little more hard charging, don't you?
So Rush. They should play something by Rush, right?
Okay.
People like Rush.
About Nickelback, Doug.
Are they Canadian?
I can't believe this is going on this program.
I don't know. Are they?
There's a great little documentary on Netflix. I think it's Netflix about Nickelback, and it makes you kind of pull for Nickelback.
Oh, big time. Yeah. Chad Kroeger is like a
So you've
super
seen it?
personable. No.
Well, you were talking about it right there like you'd seen it, and then I'm going, how do you know they're not from Canada?
I've seen interviews with the band and Chad Kroeger in the last couple of years, and he seems like an incredibly personable, affable guy. Okay. And they're super self-aware of all the hate that they once got, and they let it roll right off their shoulder. I think it's funny. And probably cashing checks in the meantime.
Well, that's for sure. Yeah.
So, okay, so how about Rockstar or Photograph by Nickelback? That would be a good choice.
That's what they play. Nathan McKernan to Crosby to McDavid. Play Nickelback.
Yeah, there's a big Nickelback resurgence.
Well, would you have to play a song from a Canadian artist?
No, I guess not. But wouldn't you, for pride of your country?
Freebird is an American institution. Of course, Commie Jack hates it. That's Eric in the Central West End.
I like Freebird. When did I say I hated Freebird?
Eric in the Central West End. I heard you say it.
Yeah, well, get your ears checked, brother.
Clip that off.
I didn't say that.
Guys, what the hell is Jackson talking about? That's from UPS Tony.
I'm trying to figure these things out.
Well, I hope you're not confused because you have tax problems.
No.
But if you are, Mark Milton would be the guy. That should be your next phone call.
I do like talking to Mark.
Well, I think we all do.
Yeah.
Not when you have tax issues, just as a friend.
But you know he'll
to
take
talk
care
to
of
him about
He's a
Wham.
good golfer.
So I'm gonna text him right
another
now.
Canadian artist in Burger King.
I'm going to text him right now. Do you like Wham?
He's got a lot of interest in that, I'm sure. He also has interest in helping you if you have IRS problems. You've been hit with the godforsaken tax man. Maybe you've got unfiled tax returns, tax liens, bank levies, wage garnishments bothering you right now, or even worse, you're facing IRS criminal investigation. This is serious stuff. And if you're facing that, you need to contact STL Tax Lawyer Mark Milton at stltaxlawyer.com. Mark Milton at stltaxlawyer.com provide a local and holistic approach to tax resolution. Don't be sucked in to the out-of-town tax resolution groups you hear about on TV and radio. Great to have somebody right here in St. Louis who can help you through it. And he also happens to be one of the top tax attorneys in the entire country. He started his legal career with the Department of Justice Tax Division in Washington, D.C., where he represented the IRS in tax cases throughout the country and received the DOJ's Outstanding Trial Attorney Award. Mark now helps individuals and small businesses solve their tax problems. So if you have any kind of IRS issue, contact Mark Milton at stltaxlawyer.com today, and you'll be saying, no, I am not guilty, I am with Milty. Remember, the choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
Send your emails in for the Designer Email of the Day. It comes your way in a matter of moments on that Stiefel dossier. This is TMA, presented to you by Brian and Crouppen on 101 ESPN.
This is Action Jackson with the Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Oh, you want some Canada USA hockey? Well, this is the right place to be, 101 ESPN, because we got the game right here. Pre-game starts at 6 p.m., puck drop at 7 p.m. right here on 101 ESPN. That was another Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Morning After 101 ESPN. Show presented to you by Brown and Crouppen. Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, Jackson Burkett with you on the program. James Carlton presents Gabe DeArmond every Monday and Friday. Looking forward to talking over with the Colonel. Said it was one of the best basketball atmospheres he's been at in his career. He'll be with us tomorrow. James Carlton's online at carltoninsurance.net. You can call 314-961-4800. He's my insurance agent. He has been for 6 years. I made the switch. I am so grateful that I did. When I did, they did all the paperwork for me. Here's the question. Has your insurance gone up year over year? The answer is most likely yes. You have nothing to lose by calling James Carlton's offices right now. 314-961-4800. Somebody in the office is going to answer it. It's not going to be a voicemail. It's not going to be an email that you don't get back, hear back from 2 weeks. No. You're going to talk to them. They're going to answer the question. And I'm going to tell you, you're probably going to be able to save your money. It's James Carlton, Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency, online at carltoninsurance.net or call 314-961-4800. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Design Air Heating and Cooling email of the day.
Okay.
Well, Buck Swope is leading. Doug, do you want me to give the names of the emailers? Do you want me to reorder them? Stag was unhappy with that yesterday. We did it. Buck Swope still won.
I like the names at the end.
Yeah, I kind of like to hear the names.
Right.
I kind of do.
All right, give me a number 1 through 6, and that's where I'll start.
6.
All right. Bennington does not lose on this ice tonight. Whittington will get you paid. Book it. That's from Dan Beal.
Dan Beal.
Unbelievable as Dan Beal is picking Canada as a 5-star play.
Is he really? Yeah, I'm a little worried. They got an awful lot of talent, just incredible talent.
Why do you hate the Kachucks?
I don't hate anyone. I'm just saying Canada's got some great offensive talent.
What's your problem with Austin Matthews?
I don't dislike Austin Matthews. I don't think he's as good as McDavid.
Are you concerned that Neil Young's going to be their goal song?
Not concerned about that in the least. No.
Andy mentioned that Doug's jersey looked great on him. Let me tell you about the time Doug sported the sweater but took it off. We were about to raise my father's new barn, and we were having trouble. Doug was there to help, and he did indeed look glorious in the USA jersey. As the struggles with the barn raising continued, Doug took charge and tore the jersey off Hulk Hogan style. Said, boys, put your backs into it, and we're going to raise this baby, and that's what we did. The sun glistened off Doug's shirtless and slightly doughy body, and we were so inspired that barn did indeed get raised. As we stood there admiring my father's Doug-assisted erection, the sun reflected off Doug's left nipple ring into my eye. Doug inspired us all that day and passionately motivates me to this day. Thank you, Doug. Tim's the best.
Okay.
That's from the Rogue Onion writing in.
Just an awful email.
It's the filtered file. I'm in the filtered file.
I filtered that one by hand.
Happy Thursday, lads. What a time to be alive. Mizzou Tiger Hoops proving to be a tournament contender. Cardinal baseball chatter heating up after your trip to Jupiter. But let's center our focus on the red, white, blue, and khaki. Big Walt's patriotic seedlings are out there making everyone proud to be an American. Their inspirational glove dropping on Saturday night sets up what will be the greatest night of hockey in years. Unlike these overpriced concerts, Team USA plays the hits every night. Khaki is a color. It's not a style of pant. Pistol Pale owns khaki-colored joggers. These are to be worn to show your level of hipness to the fellow jogger pants owners. It's no surprise that a white basketball-loving Ladue resident is willing to die on the khaki jogger hill. Wow. USA by a million night. Cheers. That's from my cousin Vinny.
Okay, my cousin Vinny with a pretty nice email.
I like the name Pistol Pale.
Pistol Pale works. Most people don't know this, but I actually grew up in England. In 2012, after the Patriots demolished the Rams by a score of 45-7 at Wembley Stadium, I followed my lifelong dream of leaving London so I could move to St. Louis, Missouri. That merciless butt-whooping made thousands of curious British tourists visit the Mountain City so we could see mediocrity up close. Something about the dysfunctional local government and the overall aversion to social progress caused me to take up permanent residence in the Lou. The crumbling buildings, the miserable weather, the fact that almost everyone I meet is still proudly displaying their freshman 15 like a bulbous badge of honor. It all brings me so much joy. It's like this whole city is filled with Craig Stadler impersonators. I've never seen so many insulin pumps in my life. The barbecue is good here, but I'm craving authentic British food. Can anyone recommend some true English cuisine? Much to my surprise, Burger King has nothing to do with England's monarchy at all. What does a fella have to do to get some baked beans on toast in this town? Cheerio, mates. That's from the JV golf coach.
JV golf coach.
Wow, wow, wow. Libby Jack Virgin Trash Stash Stoy Boy has an extra bounce in his step and an extra inch on his basketball boner as Mizzou Hoops beat a top 5 team for the 3rd time this season, which they haven't done since 1989, which, when you talk about the tournament, that was the season they finally got past the first round after being bounced by Xavier in 87 and Rhode Island in 88. In 89, they got to the Sweet 16 where they lost to Jimmy Bayhib and Syracuse 83-80 because Mizzou did not make their free throws in March. And if they had won that game, it had set up a rematch at a Black and Whites game against Illinois. Is that right? Had they beat Syracuse, they would have played Illinois?
I don't remember.
1989.
Holy crap.
I'm about to find out for you.
I know Illinois went to the Final Four, but I did not know that had Missouri beaten Syracuse, they would have played Illinois in that regional. Wow, Buck Swope, breaking news. Can it be breaking news when it's 36 years old?
Probably not.
Yes.
Probably not.
It's refreshing to see rich white women, and it's refreshing to see someone so passionate about regular season college hoops. But we need Libby Jack to set up a Camboy feed for these regular season games so we can watch him violently jump around his apartment in his boy khakis that are really chinos, yelling mouse in the house as he pounds Zimas and snorts rails of Adderall. Well, the Oli Marmol image overall was fun while it lasted, but now he wants the fans to, quote, fill up that stadium regardless of what's going on, end quote. He said that with a straight face. Oh. Nice guy. I don't give an S. Good father. F you. Go home and play with your kids. You want to fill that stadium, then win. I emailed in because Mitch and Murray asked me to. They asked me for a favor. I said the real favor would be to follow my advice and fire Ollie's effing ass because he's a loser, and a loser is a loser.
Oh, come on.
Some Buck Swope. Is he doing Glenn Ross?
Yeah,
perhaps.
That's true. If Missouri would have beat Syracuse, they would have played Illinois and Minneapolis.
Oh, my goodness, Doug.
Yep.
Dude, were you at that Missouri-Syracuse game? Where was it, Jackson?
I don't know.
Minneapolis, I guess.
That game was in Indianapolis.
So then they would have played a different game in Indianapolis? Illinois was in Minneapolis?
I remember doing live shots outside in the parking lot, of course.
All right.
Maybe it was Minneapolis. It was probably Minneapolis. That's where the Illinois-Syracuse game was, for sure.
Okay. Well, it would have been Minneapolis.
Right. Well, then I wasn't there. I did live reports outside of the Dome in Indianapolis.
Okay.
Where they played one year.
Right, where they played Syracuse. Okay.
Every day around 10:35, 10:40 in the morning, Jackson turns into a dum-dum. It's like a combination of Iggy and the Plowboy doing rails and then chugging a couple Four Locos. I personally like it. Anywho, have a great day. Hugs and kisses, the calcified ear.
I'll be darned.
Nice little message.
Calcified ear.
And that's what we have for the Design Air Heating and Cooling email today. The question now is what you got.
Well, today I like the fella by the name of My Cousin Vinny. My Cousin Vinny got my vote.
I kind of like the Rogue Onion.
Oh, he was not good.
I agree with Doug. My cousin Vinny's day is today.
Congratulations.
On February 20th, 2025, the day the United States and Canada go heads up in prime time, brother. 10+ million people in the U.S. and Canada will be watching this one tonight, Doug. Let's settle in. Let's sell in.
And no shinny hockey.
No shinny hockey. No kicking around. I'm done with this. Sit down. Watching a game.
Do they listen when you say that? For a few minutes, they
Not
listen.
at all.
Not at
Plus,
all.
I'm going to be all hopped up on Dayquil.
Oh.
You'll be sitting there like that PSA commercial of the person getting the contact high.
It's brutal.
Like this.
This is crazy. This is crazy. That's what it is. That's what I got.
7, so it'll be over at 9:45-ish, 9:50.
What if it goes to triple overtime?
Oh, no.
You're making them stay up.
Yeah, you boys
Pry
are
their
staying
eyes
up.
open.
Time for us to go. BK and Ferrario are up next. For Jackson Burkett, for Chairman Kurt, who is ill, for Martin Kilcoyne, for Early Kevin, for Douglas Vaughn, I'm Tim McKernan. This has been TMA, presented to you by Brown and Crouppen on 101 ESPN and the TMA STL YouTube channel.